Hello everybody and welcome to tonight's stream of Onyx Dragon Gaming. Hello to everyone new in the chat. It's lovely to have you here. We have great news today. We have finally received, where are we? We have finally received our pile of Night Goblins. So we can finally continue with the ongoing project we've been doing. As you can see on the table here, I've done a bit of progress with some of the boring stuff out of the way. I've sprayed a bunch of these squigs. We've got a few basic squigs from the squig herd, and we've got a giant cave squig, which will be the glorious mount for our goblin war boss, who will be featured probably later on in the week. But first, like I said, we want to paint his glorious steed. What I've done is I've sprayed the squigs with Sanguine Red, I believe it is called, from the Colourforge range, which is a really nice spray. I have to say, I was a bit sceptical when they first came out, that range, but actually, having used a couple now, especially some of their reds, especially the red here, it covers really nicely and smoothly, and no issues. I've had a few issues with the Mephiston Red from Citadel, but this one is fantastic. So I've done that, I've given them a nice all-over coat, and just so we're not sitting here watching washes dry mostly, I have washed most of these guys over here with Caribou Crimson as the first layer, which I will show off on this first one, on this very last little fella over here, because I thought I would at least show that off, what I'm doing, but that way we don't have to sit here and wait for them all to dry. So here we go. Squiggly Beasts. These guys are they are just the best reason to do Night Goblins, in my opinion. Fanatics come a close second, with their absolutely manic expressions, and huge dynamic models, because obviously they're swinging these great big ball and chains around. But yeah, Squiggly Beasts are just the best part of Night Goblins, no matter how big or small they are. These little fellas are your basic squigs. They form the Squig Herd unit. In the army we've got planned, we've got various varieties. So we've got, like I said, we've got these basic squigs that are sort of prodded and herded into battle. The guys, the herders that go with them are awesome as well. There's one guy with a pair of cymbals who's crashing them together to sort of encourage the squigs to go towards the enemy and not towards the other Night Goblins. There's a guy with a set of bagpipes, because who wouldn't want to run away from a goblin playing a set of bagpipes? And then there's guys with various prodders and sticks that are sort of poking the squigs in the right direction. So yeah, there we go. That's, as usual, we're just going to give a nice coat of the wash, making sure it's gotten in all the areas, but not pooling too heavily, so it doesn't take forever to dry, and it doesn't leave us with massive tide marks. So yeah, there we go. That's him done. Yeah, so we've got the basic squigs. We have squig hoppers, who are dudes who are, I don't want to say brave, probably not the word, stupid enough to use a squig as a mount. Then, of course, we've got the giant squig here, which will have our goblin war boss on, who will be leading our horde of Night Goblins. And then, of course, if you go even further up than that, we've got a set of massive mangler squigs, which are two enormous squigs tied together with chains that go whirling around, smashing into each other and things, hopefully, that are mostly enemies. So, what we're going to do first. So, this is a really good to show off a whole bunch of new techniques. First of all, we did a little bit last week. We did a bit of dry brushing on metal, but I find that's a bit different. So, we've got our trusty makeup brush here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go in with a tiny bit of Mephiston Red. I'm going to show you here. So I've got a bit of tissue here, and I'm just going to work the paint into the bristles quite heavily, so that there's not much coming off at the end. Although, to be honest, because this is going to be quite a heavy layer, we might put a little bit more in there, just to make sure it's got a good coverage, work right into the bristles there. And then what we're going to do, we'll start with one of the little fellas. So what we're going to do is, with quite a light motion, so you want to literally, I think the analogy I used last time, and I think it's very true and works very well, is imagine you are an archaeologist and you have found a lovely piece of dinosaur bone in a hole, and you're trying to brush the dirt off of it to make sure that it doesn't damage the the magnificent fossil underneath. That is pretty much how I would describe the best way to dry brush, because you can add paint, it's very hard to take it away. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, I'm going to sort of come across the model mostly on a downward motion, so that we have a slightly darker, the top's slightly brighter. Sorry, not that the bottom's darker, but the top is slightly brighter. We're just going to get in, because at this stage we pretty much want to reset to sort of a Mephiston red equivalent colour on as much of the squig as possible, but leaving the recesses the darker shade of Caribou Crimson. Because what we're going to do is we're going to build up the skin on these guys with a few dry brushes, getting progressively lighter. I'm sorry, I think I need to put my teeth back in. Yes, red things. These are squiggly beasts. They are, I said, my favourite things. They are pretty much space hoppers with legs and an inordinate amount of teeth and a bad attitude. Is probably the best way to describe a squig. They come in all shapes and sizes, and are used for all sorts of things in Orc and Goblin society. I think my personal favourite thing about them is in the Warhammer 40k universe. See, orcs don't have hair, right? So orcs don't have hair of any kind. So if you see an orc with hair, it's not actually the orc's hair. It is what is known as a hair squig, which has bitten into the scalp of the orc, and it has hair itself. So that's how they don't go to a barber. They just find a hair squig and be like, stick it on the head, and then kind of vaguely style the hair that is now sticking out of their head. I always found that hilarious to me. That's how, maybe, although to be fair, looking at me, I probably could do with finding myself a new hair squig. Mine is slowly dying, I think. But I don't know if I could cope with having something clamped onto my skull 24/7. So yeah, so the first thing we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to get some real nice heavy over dry brushing of Mephiston red. Just brighten that colour back up. Yeah, this is going to be quite progressive sort of dry brushing. At first it's not going to look like it's doing much, but I promise you it all comes together at the end. Yeah, I'm so excited to be doing the rest of the Night Goblins. I've been itching. As much as I've been enjoying painting the elves and other such things on stream, I've just been waiting to do. I wanted to paint Squigs for so long because they are really fun models. They have so much character to them. They're real. There's lots of different techniques into painting them. Like I said, we've got a lot of dry brushing, which on the skin textures. We've got these lots of teeth to pick out, things like that. Got mushrooms on the bases. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun painting these guys. So we've got some big news for the channel. As of tonight's stream, the end of this stream will mark the final metric ticked, the final box ticked on our path to becoming a Twitch affiliate. I'm sure you become. No, apparently I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I've not gotten close enough to orcs to find out if they smell. But I'm sure with some various products we could convince the hair squig to smell lovely. But yes, as I was saying, as of tonight's stream, the end of tonight's stream, we will have hit every metric to become a Twitch affiliate, which I am very excited about, and I am so thankful for everybody who's never enough squigs. That's very true. There is never enough squigs. That's why the army we're doing has a metric boatload of them. I wanted to say thank you very much to everybody who's been supporting us so far. I know it's only been a short time, but I do massively appreciate everyone who's dropped a follow, everyone who's in the comments, everyone who's watching the stream at home. Thank you so much. We've got getting to Twitch affiliate so quickly is absolutely awesome. Although it does mean it does come with a bunch of new shiny things, including, hopefully, the one that is the best part is the magical subscribe button, which will appear hopefully soon for those of you who are inclined to support us even more, either by a full Twitch subscription, or if you have Amazon Prime, you can make Jeff Bezos give me money. because he doesn't need it. He's got far too much. And you can link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account, and you have one free subscription every month. And if you be so kind as to donate that to this channel, we can make a lot more awesome stuff happen. As I say, we've got a lot of stuff working on in the background. I was very excited to hit affiliate, and now I've realised that there's a lot of new things we have to do because of it. Thank you very much, Nick. That's very kind of you. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things I have to do behind the scenes, because obviously now we can also add some awesome things, such as our wonderful tangent emote that James has made for us. There'll also be, hopefully, various benefits that come along with subscribing, and we'll also, for those of you interested in our Discord server, the link is down below. Please come along and join that. We'll have all sorts of cool content on there, as well as a lovely place for you wonderful people out there who are hobbying to show off what you are working on. Because I would love to see that. Like I said, I would love to do maybe a monthly stream of what all you fantastic people are working on. I'll be turning on Monday nights like about quiz with cleaner jokes. Yes, for now, at least, definitely. That's definitely true. Yeah. Unfortunately, left unsupervised, we are pretty. We can go to some pretty dark places, but they're quite fun. We might, it might not be PG-13, but it's all in good fun. Right, so that is our first layer of dry brushing done. Yes. There's nothing so much fun about sitting around a big painting table with a bunch of friends, talking about all sorts of nonsense, and go down some weird rabbit holes. Speaking of which, yeah, one of the things we have done past and be excited about is one of my personal sort of, what's the word? I can't. Oh, come on, my brain is like Swiss cheese tonight. Ooh, excuse me. Make sure to mute that so it's not blowing out everyone's speakers or eardrums if you're on headphones. Yeah, my brain seems to be a bit mush. Hopefully, with some more monster, it'll pick up as we get excited. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, one of my guilty pleasures is WWE wrestling, and one of the best nights of the year was this past. For that, it was this past Saturday with the Royal Rumble, which I think is one of the best matches of the. Yeah, Monster shit when. Hopefully that'd be great. Can you imagine? I would happily put Monster branding over everything. You know, they keep me going. They literally fuel my hobby. Maybe I don't think the problem is I don't think I'm extreme enough. I think if I was going to be painting like I don't know on a snowboard or something, maybe that would help. Maybe then they'd be like, yeah, we can talk. I think just sitting and painting is probably not extreme enough. Although if it gets too extreme, then Red Bull would want to sponsor me, and I don't want that. So got to find a balance. Right, so back to the Squigs. I was going to talk about the Royal Rumble, but I'm too excited for Squigs. So yeah, we're going back to another dry brush, this time of Evil Sun's Scarlet. We're going to try and focus it more on the top wrestler alphabet game. Oh yeah, trying to sit and think of wrestlers' names of different letters of the was it? If I remember right, the rules are you have to think of a wrestler. So you say a name, and it's the last letter of that wrestler's name. You have to then find the start letter of the next wrestler. That was hilarious. Yeah. Just sitting there desperately trying to think of wrestlers and awkward names as well. That was a good laugh. That was a good night. Yeah, the random stuff you end up talking about around a painting table is just with friends is great. This is kind of more the inspiration for this entire stream, to be honest. This is just kind of like a virtual painting table. Just us sitting around talking absolute nonsense. And me occasionally ranting about my strong opinions about things. Although there's strong opinions about things that matter, you know, like that Hollywood has no idea what a dragon is. The important questions in life. Video series out. The Pain Saber with Pete. There we go, yeah. I know, they're not doing, they're not, this, we've finally gotten the Squigs that the rest of the Night Goblins I've been waiting for so long are finally here. So, we can do them. I am very, very excited. I don't know if it's been coming across, but yeah, these are so much fun to paint, these models. And they're so, again, satisfying as well, with all the bits that, how quickly they come together. And then after that, we not only have we got different sized Squigs and various other Night Goblins that may or may not be attached to them or nearby them. And it was right. No, sadly not. I have not found any Dryads yet from my Wood Elves. But the hunt continues. I hold out hope. So I figure I can paint the rest of the army and then hold out hope that they come back in stock beforehand, or that they might. There's some on eBay, I think. I might have to see if I can convince myself to. Oh no, that's the wrong one. He hasn't had his I'm getting carried away here. Yeah, I think I might have to brave the murky depths of eBay for those, but we shall see. But as for now, I'm just going to have fun with some Night Goblins. Very excited to paint the Squigs, and also we have, as I said before, we've got some trolls, some stone trolls, which are another classic dweller of the caverns and mountain holes that the Night Goblins love to frequent. They're going to be good fun to paint because again they have a lot of really cool textures. We have a sort of blended different colours. We've got quite like they've got quite dark bluish skin and sort of stony skin on the backs, and then they've got quite a light sort of chest areas. So blending the two of those is going to be quite fun. So yeah, I'm very excited. We can make lots of progress, and I wonder how quickly we can get an entire army of goblins off the ground. I mean, with Squigs, probably very lot quicker. Seeing as how bouncy they are. That's a terrible joke, I know. Sadly, I'm here all night. But yeah. Yes. Not going to still call it OS. I don't know. What the Dryads, if they are, I'll have to see if I can find that particular magazine. Because I desperately need some. Right. We're on to the penultimate stage of painting these Squigs, or at least the skin, I should say. We are moving on to the aptly named Squig Orange. So this one we will want to be careful of. So we're going to work a lot of paint into the bristles, but we really want it to be very, very, very thin. So we're going to give this a real light dusting across the really hard, the sort of very top areas of the muscle work and down. We're going to give their bellies a bit of an extra go with the Squig Orange because they've got lighter bellies, but we're going to try and be very sparing on the top so we get a sort of sense of the highlight. But we're going to try, like I say, go a bit extra on the bottom. Oh, I'm leaning on my little dry brushing palette there. I think that is enough on him. Yeah, like I said, this is the great thing about doing creature skin. Like wolves are really good for this as well. Like you can just, anything with heavy texture is really good. Takes dry brushing really well. And I think looks absolutely spot on because of it. But again, I think dry brushing is one of those techniques that a lot of people frown upon as sort of a hashtag beginner technique. But I think that's only because people don't appreciate its usefulness, and also because I don't think people show how to do it properly. So it makes it look like a building technique when people are doing it badly. You haven't. Oh, I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised I've only got the one pot open. I haven't spilled a paint pot in a good few years. Now I've said that, I'm clearly going to knock one over on stream at some point. But no, I usually have. My problem is I always forget to close them. So when I'm really deep into painting a model, and the ADHD grips me, I just go nuts and just forget all the paint pots that are around me, and just leave them all out and open. So yeah, on the last little fella, to his big, massive, wobbly jowls there. Yeah. See, I'm thinking now. Look, I wish I'd had more time to build more squigs, because we could have done the whole flipping squig tonight. It looks like. It's all right. We've got more goblins to fall. We've got knights and more spearmen to fall back on if we somehow manage to race through these squigs. Yeah. So the only thing I don't have right now for the goblins is we don't have any fanatics, and we don't have enough square bases right now. But hopefully we should be able to order those soon, and then we can finally finish off everything. Thankfully, one thing I did have, I have a few of these old monster bases from back in the day. So I took a careful note of what size it was supposed to be, as of the Ravening Hordes book, which is apparently a 50mm square base. So that's what I went for. So with this one, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a lighter tone towards the edge of the mouth. So we're going to sort of dry brush away from, we're going to start right by the teeth and the gums and dry brush up and away. I'm going to try and do that all around the mouth so that the colour sort of fades, it makes it a lot lighter towards the mouth. So that's working there. We'll just pick up the feet, a bit of these sort of nodules on the back. So another one of the armies that I painted a lot with dry brushing and works so well is Cornate Demons. It's a similar thing. Obviously, it's all red because you know, black, red, and silver are the way forward. But there's quite a few different varieties of red in painting Cornate stuff. Obviously, there's corn red, a more darker skin tone for things like flesh hounds. And then the brighter red for the bloodletters, and a sort of somewhere in between I find for things like bloodthirsters. I do like a good bloodthirster. They're really fun to paint. And speaking of which, there at some point on the stream we will be painting Angron, as he has been sat in a box angrily staring at me from my desk, waiting to be painted. So he will definitely be a stream. Yeah, he's such a nice model, but again, he's one of those models that's like you can make a lot of progress on real quick, and then I find that I sort of tried to paint one before, and I kind of got bogged down because I felt like I'd made a couple of mistakes. So he might be going in the dip, but I've got another one on the shelf who's just been sort of staring at me in the box, waiting for his time. Right, so now we're going to go in with the final skin tone for the squigs, which are going to be just around beyond their very, 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 very light touch, which would mostly be around the mouths and under the sort of stomach, which is going to be Cadian flesh tone, because obviously the squigs, whilst they be bright red, it is supposed to be sort of a bright red skin, and it's quite a nice soft pink colour, which obviously is good for flesh. So we're just going to give these guys an incredibly light, literally just around the mouth here, like that, and then just underneath a little bit yeah, this is just to pick up the bits of the facial features, and the gum, so not the gums, but the lips and things, and a little bit of lightness under the stomach, for those we can get to anyway. God, this is fun. Yeah, I'm definitely realising I should have I should have painted a few more, but I ran out of time before coming to the stream. But that's okay. Just means we've got more time to paint other things and chat about nonsense. And then, yeah, here we go on our very big boy here. He's going to get his final highlight just across the face, round the mouth, and then a little bit underneath, and on this side, just lighten it up, and there we go. Squigs, Squig flesh, all finished. Right. Now the even more fun parts. So, right, we'll leave the big giant fella to one side for now, as we move on to gums. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some Screamer Pink, I believe is the colour. I always forget what it's called. It's like a sort of purpley pink colour, which is really good for to contrast against the red fleshy tones. So we're just going in to paint any of the sort of inside of the mouth areas. We'll obviously be coming back and doing the teeth separately, but for the most part we just want to get all this sort of fleshy material in around the gums, any bits we can see beyond that, because these guys have got like gaping mouths as well, but it's quite hard to get in there as such. So yeah, look, the guy's got a big purple smile now. Oh, where are we? Yeah, this is one of these armies I've wanted to do for such a long time. I remember looking at the, I think it was, there was a White Dwarf battle report just after 6th edition had come out, and the Dwarf book had been released, and they did a Night Goblin and Skaven alliance versus a big dwarf throng, and ever since then I was like, you know what, I really want to do a full Night Goblin themed army. It's one of those ideas I had percolating around for so many years, and every so often I'd gotten close to it. And then as more and more of the Gloomspite Gits range started coming out, and they started really releasing things in plastic, like the Squig Herd and things, I kept rumbling away and kept thinking about it and planning. But I had so many other things that I was doing at the time. And Age of Sigmar, like I said, I've dabbled in the game a few times, but it just didn't grab me enough. And I was really busy, I think I've been really busy in the last few years playing a lot of Horus Heresy and 40k. But now the old world's back, I finally decided this is it. You know what? I'm taking the plunge. I'm going to give them a go, and I'm so glad I have, because hopefully you saw on stream a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the Spearmen. Even as simple as they are, they've really pushed me on certain techniques. Doing the moon faces on the shields and the banner was really good for me, because it really helped me push my highlighting and blended highlights, and I'm very proud of that. And this is going to be another one, I think, doing these squigs. There's going to be quite a few bits on here, I think, that are going to be really helpful to help me push myself as a painter, because it's really easy to get complacent when painting. but I always try to push myself every so often, do something a bit outside my comfort zone. Something that's not black, silver, and red. Although I say that, knowing full well that this army is mostly black and red, but there's a lot of yellow, and as you can see, there's also purples and pinks and things. So, yeah, I think this is going to be one of those forces that I'm going to have a lot of fun with. Like I said, the stone trolls I think are going to be especially fun because they're such different colours, as well as things like one of them's holding a massive like gemstone rock. So I think highlighting that and making that look like a really, shiny piece of crystal is going to be quite fun. I'm also kind of really excited to get them out on the table, because for learning the new Old World game, I think they're going to be really useful, because they have a lot of rules. They have a lot of different types of units as well. So you've got like artillery and in the form of the Squig Gobber, which we're going to be using as a stone thrower. You've got monstrous infantry in the form of the trolls. We've got skirmisher units in the form of the Squig Hopper Boys. We've got magic, obviously, because we're going to have goblin shamans. And the other cool thing is, we're definitely going to learn a lot about the leadership and psychology phases, because these guys have got terrible leadership. I think the leadership of a standard unit is like 6 if they have a champion, which for those who remember that is not the best in the world. So I think we'll be learning a lot about how psychology works in the new game, watching our goblins fail every test conceivable. As well as although they don't have animosity anymore, they do have impetuous, I believe, which is sort of interesting. I don't know how that rule works. I'm looking forward to finding out. So yeah, these are going to be fun to put on the tabletop and learn the game, I think, before I take things really seriously. Because I'm hoping, like I said before, I'm really hoping to go to the first Old World event that is has been announced, and tickets go on sale next Monday. So there might be, because next Monday's stream will be with Ben, a special guest, and we will be discussing the new Dark Angel. We're breaking open the new Deathwing assault box and going through the contents and chatting about all things Dark Angel next week. I think that's going to be really good fun. But there'll probably be a moment where at 7 o'clock, I'll have to nip out and desperately try and get my ticket for this event, because I really, really, really want to go. It's going to be so much fun. I really want to make sure I go to the first event. So yeah, right. So back to the Squigs. What we're going to do now is we're going to go in and we're going to wash all the gums with Caribou Crimson, so that it helps match the rest of the skin tones. It'll help blend it in. So angry. Yeah, I'm really excited to go to the event. I think personally, I was torn between taking the Night Goblins and doing Wood Elves, but I think I've decided that Wood Elves are going to be the army we're taking. I've had a few thoughts about what I want to put in the army. Thankfully, I've still got quite a few Wood Elves knocking about from ages past, but I'm hoping that I can get the last few ones that I need of some description. We might even get to chuck in some old ancient Wood Elf models as well. I've got a lead on some very old Wood Elves. Actually, my favourite type of Dryads, in fact, which are the old metal Dryads, the ones that really look like trees, because they're so much fun. They were really cool models. They look so much more aggressive than the more modern wood elf dryads who are a bit spindly. Right, I think it's time for some Happy Hobby hair drying, so just bear with me while I put you on mute. That was a long blast, but needed doing. So we're not all just sat here twiddling our thumbs while we're waiting for my paint to dry. So, where are we? I need to get a big brush for this fella's gob and his massive, great big tongue. Although we'll try, thankfully, with it being a bit bigger, we can try and make sure we can wick everything away so we don't have to wait as long for it to dry. Plus, it's already been warmed up now by the hairdryer, so hopefully that'll mean it'll dry quicker. Make sure we're getting around all these gums. The problem with models like this, where they've got big, deep gullets, trying to get in there to highlight is going to be a real pain, I think. We might have to sort of cheat. Because that's going to be a real pain. So we're towards this edge, where I'm trying to sort of blend in the screamer and the red of our skin, I'm just putting in some water, just kind of feather out the wash a bit, so that it gives a bit of a transition between the two colours. Yeah. Cool, right, while he's drying, we shall go back in with some highlights. So we're going to go back to our Screamer Pink on the gums for our first highlight, where we're just going to pick up a bit of the edges around the teeth, just to help them stand out a bit. Also, this sort of, anywhere there's sort of a line, an obvious line in the flesh, we'll try and pick out as well. It's like these little folds on the inside. This is just a quick thin layer just to help our proper thicker highlight in a minute. Oh, sorry, I should say a darker highlight pick up a bit more. The other thing about this, there's so many parts of this army that I'm looking forward to. One that's going to be a bit tricky, which we might end up doing on stream as a kind of conversion-y, clinic-y corner, is I've got the Warhammer Underworld's warband. I want to say it's called Grinrax Loon Court. And I want to use them as, I've said it before, but I want to use them as characters and also unit champions or unit fillers, so they can add a bit of personality to the different units that they're in. Because I think that'd be really fun, a bit funky. The problem with them is they're all on scenic bases that are shock horror round, and we're not about that life at the moment. Round bases are for the future, the far distant future. Square bases are for the here and now, for Warhammer now, as we're trying to call it. Yeah. That's what I've been doing. I don't know if you've been listening to the LDG Experience podcast. Any of you out there? But when we've been talking about the factions of the old world, it's so hard to figure out hexagonal bases. Oh, fantastic! See, that's for a very specific time in the future, not the far future, but only maybe like 1,000 years or so. Maybe the year. I can't remember what year it's set in now. I was thinking that for BattleTech. But yeah. So I lost my train of thought now. That's something we're going to have to paint on the stream at some point, is some more of my BattleTech mechs, because they're really fun. And again, it's a whole different style of painting. that'll be definitely be a Friday, casual Friday stream. Might paint some more of my Clan Wolf or Clan Coyote mechs. Maybe even some SLDF mechs from back in the day. For those people who don't understand what we're talking about, BattleTech is a game. I want to say it's technically, I think it's older than 40k. I don't want to speak on authority to it. It is a game that I'm relatively new to, but I've been having a lot of fun with. As it's quite granular. You only it's quite relatively small miniatures, but the game itself is quite granular. So you have anyone who's played a MechWarrior game, that is the same. That is the universe. That is the BattleTech universe. And yeah, you have to manage your heat and ammo and things like that whilst fighting. The older mechs, the ones that are rubbish, are hilarious because they might be covered in festooning guns, but they can't actually fire more than one of them a turn because they'll overheat. And then the later areas you get, the better technology you get, that becomes less of a consideration. But we've been playing a campaign on and off, set in the late sort of Inner Sphere eras for the dreaded clan invasion. And yeah, playing with rubbish mechs is actually quite funny. And then we also end up tech rushing towards Gauss rifles and AC-20s, which are massive autocannons, and anything with really good heat sinks, so you can just unload into people. My mech company had nothing but assault mechs, which are the biggest, massivest mechs you can have. While others are messing about with light mechs and tiny things like that, I didn't have time for that. I'm all about giant, enormous mechs. Right. So that is our the gums done for our squigs. So we shall move on to those glorious chompers that they have. So we're going to start these with a base coat of Xandri dust. So we have to worry about keeping them separate at the moment because the wash stage we'll do in a minute will help define them, but we want to make sure we stay away from the gums and the skin so that we don't have to go back and try and fix that. But thankfully, with Xandri dust being quite a thick paint, we should be this should be relatively quick. Of a stage 2. Talking about casual Fridays. This Friday, I believe we're going to be painting some Star Wars Legion miniatures. I haven't quite decided yet what it should be. I'm thinking it's going to be either Empire, so maybe some Stormtroopers, or Scout Troopers, or jet bikes, something like that. Maybe some jet bikes, or possibly even some battle droids from the Separatist forces of the Clone Wars, because they're quite fun and quite satisfying to paint. A lot of the Star Wars stuff is. I hope for those of you who are mostly a sort of 40k or Warhammer players will join us on Friday for that, because it's a whole different style of painting that's really fun and really gratifying. They use a lot of contrast paints, because surprisingly I found contrast paints are really useful and really good, don't get me wrong, for 40k and fantasy miniatures, but actually I've had the most success with them on non-Games Workshop models. There's just something about their finish and the way they go on that really suits models like the Legion models, or Infinity, or BattleTech. I think anything with a more sort of almost either a really pushed art style like Infinity, or something with a more realistic sort of bent to it like Star Wars. Because obviously the thing with Star Wars miniatures is you're trying to make them look a bit like as much like the actual real movies as possible. So yeah, I think we'll give that a go on Friday. I will have a think about what units to have a go with, or maybe even a character. Because one of the things I learned, especially painting Star Wars Legion models, was as a fan of black, whilst painting things for Star Wars Legion, there's a lot of black, like wholly black models, but they're made up of loads of different textures. Be that cloth, plastic, black painted metal, things like that. So that was really interesting because it helped me learn to paint different styles of black, which was incredibly useful to somebody who, as you know, paints an inordinate amount of black miniatures. So that was good fun. Especially like Darth Vader was really good for that because he's got like those big flowing robes, you know, the big plastic bucket helmet and chest piece. But he's got like the sort of weird leathery kind of undersuit as well. So yeah, trying to paint all those different textures all in the same colour was both challenging and rewarding once I figured it out. That's where I discovered that Corvus Black was one of the best paints that Games Workshop have made ever. It's such an awesome paint, so useful. That and the other one that's really good for anything Star Wars related is Soulblight Grey. A lot of people use Apothecary White as a shade for white, but I actually really love the Soulblight Grey because it is a grey colour as opposed to a bluey grey colour, and I always prefer like dark grey to black rather than grey to blue, or white to blue I should say. I don't know. There's a technical. I think it's colder, or I don't know. Like I said, I'm not very good with technical terms when it comes to painting. I kind of do a lot of things by feel and just by look because I know what works and I know what doesn't work. Well, at least I know it when I see it anyway. Doesn't always mean I know it when I'm trying to paint it. Yeah, I'm very surprised myself that I didn't want to stop and do one squig as a test model, like all the way through. I'm committing today. I'm committing to just batch painting a bunch of them. Normally, I'd want to paint one really slowly at home and figure out the colour scheme all the way through, and then come and paint the rest of them. But actually, I've decided I'm just going to bite the bullet and go with the flow and try and paint them as best as basically the way I think they should be painted, and we'll see how it works out. I think it's working out so far. It's working out okay. We will see as we get closer to the finish whether I'm proven right, because some models come together at the end and some models can fall apart at the end. So there we are. Right, so how well are these drying? We might need to give them a quick blast. God, that's some serious teeth, isn't it? Erg. Right, well, I'll tell you what, while we're waiting for those to dry, there is one detail we can do that's really quick, which is the little beady eyes. So we're going to go for some Uriel yellow and just get in to the eye socket. Pick up the little orbs there. Ta-da! So this is pretty simple. Just got to be careful. don't want to get it on any of the red parts around the eye. Just want to pick up our little beady fellows. And we're going to try and do a little highlight of these eyes as well, a bit like we did on the goblins and their red glowing eyes. We'll try and do the same thing with these fellas. Just so they're not just a flat yellow. Lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes. Everyone remembers Robert Shaw from the film Jaws. Oh, this one's got quite a bulging eye. You might even get a pupil. Ooh. What I say, so be careful. Then I've kind of gone a bit overboard because it's a huge bug out eyeball. Be very careful here. Ooh. Can you tell I'm really focused as I'm not talking very much? Ooh. Oh, I think that works. And then, oh, he's got one, obviously because he's got one massive bugged out eyeball, his other one's quite scrunched up. So we're going to try and get that. Oh dear, missed it a little bit there. Come on, water, save us. Save us our wonderful water. We might have to go in and fix that up in a minute. Right, I think I need a swig of today's not sponsor, Monster Energy. Hashtag not a sponsor. Oh. Right, so, evening. Welcome to tonight's stream. Well, we are painting Squigs, finally, once and for all. And I massively overestimated how long it would take me to paint the Squigs. But I think we'll go to town a bit. We can go to town a bit on the big giant cave Squig. So hopefully that will take us a bit more time. I'm just going to mix a lot of white into this Eero yellow. Try and use as a highlight for these this big bulging eye especially, but before we put a highlight on it, put a pupil on it, sorry. Time to switch to the minute brush. Oh. So what people have been working on, anyone willing to share what you've been working on over the weekend hobby-wise? I have taken a quiet weekend to myself personally. Mostly because I was up all night Saturday, and most of Saturday night, and most of Sunday morning watching the Royal Rumble. So I've not had the best of sleeps, but that is entirely my own fault. But it comes but once a year, the Royal Rumble. And like I said, it's my guilty. The WrestleMania season is my guilty pleasure to watch. Such a good laugh, and got to share it with some friends as well. We both managed to hang in there till 5 o'clock in the flipping morning because we're all nuts. And then we decided to watch the NFL playoffs on the Sunday night as well. Oh, it was definitely, yeah. I would argue, yeah. The Women's Rumble was definitely the better of the two, but I think both of them were pretty good. In fact, I think the whole show was really good, personally. Whilst the match was cool, the Fatal 4-Way for the title was just another standard spinning of the wheels until we get to WrestleMania, which is a real shame. But yeah, the two Rumble matches especially were freaking awesome. I'm really happy. I'm looking forward to seeing the stories that come out of them. We're heading into WrestleMania. And both as well, the following night, the NFL Championship games were awesome. I feel for the Detroit Lions. They were so close to going to their first ever Super Bowl, and it was heartbreaking to see. But you know, they did really well. I don't think anyone would have suspected they would have been in the NFL Championship game. Yes, we won't speak of the other guy because he angers me greatly. But I understand that he is popular with the youth. And it's also frustrating that he's actually a really good wrestler. Let's try and get a little spot in the eye. Whee, look at that. Quite proud of myself there. Look, he's actually looking at something. Arrgh. Right, so messing about with the eyes has probably been enough to let those settle. So let's see if we can find the Agrax shade. Yay, we got that. Right, so we're going to splash some good old Agrax over the teeth. This is, like I said, this is what will give us our separation between the teeth. Just trying to make sure it doesn't splash too much on the gums, but just sits where we want it to sit, in between all the teeth. Also just shade them down a bit so that when we come back and highlight them we get a nice even starker gradient. Ooh, too much in between there. Yeah, there we go. Look at them. Oh, Squigs are so cool. So much fun. They're just like, just the sheer nonsense behind the idea of a lot of the Orc and Goblin army is utterly brilliant to me. In a Warhammer world where there's so much darkness and death, and you know, and I'll be honest, yeah, being on the receiving end of an Orc Wang is probably not the greatest thing in the world, but oh my word, if you've got to go out, if you've got to get killed by some mysterious force in the old world, there are a lot worse ways to go than having a goblin fall out of the sky on your head from a goblin doom diver, or having a giant, like I said, a giant inflatable space hopper with teeth bound through you. Yeah, they add so much joy to the Warhammer world. I mean, not really, but they have a lot of fun, and at the end of the day, I think that's what's more important. Right. There we go. That's 4 mouths of horrible, disgusting teeth done. I'll tell you what, while we're waiting for that to dry, we will go back and paint the inside of the mouth for our gigantic cave squig. The war boss, or our loon boss, or I think he's going to be our goblin war boss. That goes on top of here is going to be a really fun model to paint. Thankfully, he's designed so you can keep him completely separate. I was looking at some of the instructions for all the different units we've got in this army, and because I've never built them before, and yeah, unfortunately the squig hopper guys, they're going to be fun because they have to be attached to the squigs. So we might have to mess about with some airbrushing of the squigs, so we get a nice smooth base coat to work with, whilst leaving the Night Goblins themselves as black as possible, so that we can paint them as easily as all our other Night Goblins. I will have a think about that. So, what are we gonna? What am I gonna talk? What sort of random things do I want to talk about today? Talk about my wood elves, I suppose. So, is it a gigantic squig or just close to the camera? Well, this squig is gigantic and also close to the camera. This squig is far away. Yes, this is one. Technically this is our medium-sized squig. This is a colossal squig. Technically, I believe they call it a colossal squig. But I don't know if it's like squid. You know, like you've got giant squid, colossal squid. I don't know how ranking works. I believe they're called. This is a giant cave squig. Sorry, not a colossal squig. Because the colossal squig is the awesome, epic, mega, huge one that Forge World used to do. I did consider trying to find one of those for the army, but at the end of the day, I thought, no, we've got plenty of other squigs. It might be something to add into the army at the very end, because it's quite a cool model. But for now, I think we've got plenty of cool things to paint. Right, so with this big purple tongue, I think what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and use a bunch of layers to build it up to the pink horror that we use as our final highlight on the rest. Just because it's so big, I want it to be like, I think it needs that more subtle highlighting. And also I want the tongue to stick out from the rest of the mouth, so we're going to do a couple of highlights that we want on the mouth, and sort of very ridges inside. Yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, so wood elves. So wood elves have always been my favourite of all time armies in Warhammer. The elves in general are all three of them are my favourite. Strangely, so weirdly, wood elves are my all-time favourite, but I've played them the least, and that's because they have had very little love over the years. If as a wood elf player, I have to be honest about these things. They've had very little love over the years. In the entire time I have been playing them, they have had 3 army books, I believe. They had one right at the end of 5th edition, towards the very end of 5th edition. They had one right at the very, very end of 6th edition. And then we got one in 8th edition. So whilst we have a bit more love than, say, Bretonians, well, no, I'd say they've got the same amount of love as Tomb Kings, technically. Yeah, they're still one of the more neglected factions of the old Warhammer Fantasy universe, and that's a bit of a shame. So I ended up, yeah. So whilst they're my favourite, I didn't really get much chance to do much with them because they were really hard to get hold of. And very expensive because they were a lot of metal for a long time, and yeah, they weren't, like I said, they weren't in favour, and because they were hard to get hold of, I ended up getting hold of loads and loads of high elves at first. So I kept getting given. People would have their old 4th edition starter sets with the cardboard Eltharion the Grim and Grom the Paunch. For those who remember that set. It was quite funny. Yeah, back in the day, I think we take for granted now that the awesome new starter sets that they do for every edition of games now, have got cool, massive models in them. So like the last one, the Leviathan box with the huge Dreadnought and the Screamer Killer. If you'd said to me when I was a kid that we'd get stuff like that in a starter box, I'd have lost my tiny little mind at that point. Yeah, back in the day, we wouldn't have got those models in the box set. We'd have got cardboard stand-ins. I mean, they were literally just cardboard with the picture of the model on it, and it was cardboard model on a little stand, It was brilliant, regardless of whether it was like a massive hero on a griffin like Eltharion, or whether it was a guy on a chariot like Gron the Paunch. It was brilliant. It was so good. Titan Legions had the same thing. It had 2 Mega Gargants. It had 1 Imperator Titan, and the second Imperator Titan was cardboard. Same with second edition, where you had all the Goblins and Marines. That edition, it was pretty. Yeah, it was so good. I loved that era in total. There's something magical about that era. Massive blister racks on the walls of all your shops and things. But yeah, those starter sets were brilliant. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, so I ended up with loads of high elves, at least plastic high elves, and specifically spearmen and archers, because that's what came in the set. I just all I would do with them is I would try and paint them, because my painting skill wasn't great. Obviously back then I was very little, and I hadn't really had much chance to learn from anybody either. So I did my best, but mostly I just used to get them out on my desk and rank them up into massive blocks and units, and imagine going to war with them. And that was really cool. I had a lot of fun with that. I think this part of the reason why I love fantasy so much. I think is there's something really satisfying to me about ranking up units, just having them ranked up. You know, it satisfies an itch. I think it satisfies an autistic itch in my brain. And it's one of my favourite parts of that particular game's hobby. So yeah, I ended up with loads and loads of high elves. Again, didn't do a huge amount of gaming. Did a few bits of gaming, because I also at that point managed to get a few of my favourite characters. So I remember getting Teclis. I managed to get the metal model of Teclis from back then. If anyone remembers him, with the Moon Staff of Lilith, which almost always broke. And I had to fix that a few times. I think I might have even had Tyrion as well. They were some of my favourite characters of all time. I loved their story. Teclis was always my favourite of the two. I think I'm a mage. I'll always be a mage at heart over a sort of warrior type or general type. I try and fit like big archmages in my armies whenever I can, because I love them. But yeah, I played a couple of games with them. I think with using the massive. Who remembers that era? Second edition 40k and 5th edition of Fantasy with the dreaded Magic expansions or Dark Millennium. If you were playing 40k, oh my god, who remembers those? The massive decks of cards. That was one of my favourite things. Just I still have a set of I think it's Battle Magic is the name of the set. I have the Battle Magic set for 5th edition in my collection, and it is just so stupid. Like you got decks of like every magic item in the game got its own card. All the spell laws with all their cards, all the power cards, because you didn't roll dice for magic spells. You had to draw cards from the Winds of Magic deck and hope you got enough power to cast your spells. Or you could find the awesome Total Power card, which is the equivalent of Irresistible Force, which was always fun. They were fun. Dark Millennium was the same. We were just rifling through like, what's your Space Marine Captain equipped with today? Let me see. Oh, you still have those decks, do you? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, they're so ludicrous when I look back on them now. But yeah, because it was just. But I suppose it was still like second edition was still on the border of that sort of glorified role playing encounter that sort of the first few war games were. You know, they were mostly because you only had like quite a small army. You only have a few things and like one or two characters that would have massive. Oh, this tongue's looking terrible. think we have to redo this. Right, well for now, we'll put that to one side because I'm not happy with that. Let's see about these. But yeah, I'm going to give these a quick blast and I'll get back to my discussions of old sets. Okay. Ooh, let's go through that way. What's up with that one? I don't know. I'm just not. I think the tongue is. I think maybe I've washed it a bit too thinly, or not done enough layers between the pinks. I think though we can get away with it if I remembered. Yay, my Druki Violet. I am thinking that we can fix it with some washes. That might help. So I might build that up in a minute. But for now, let's do something good that I know will work. Shut some of these paint pots. That'll definitely help. Ease some anxieties out there. So what was it? Where was it? My story of elves. So yes. So at that point, I was not really playing much with the elves. Well, I was just kind of enjoying having them. Then we moved on to 6th edition, and that is when I really got into playing a lot of fantasy. And especially was because the first book that came out that I wanted was the Dark Elf book. In that edition, it came out slightly before, I think, the High Elves. And yeah, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try something a bit different. I loved what they'd done with them, with the direction they'd taken them in. So I thought, let's do this. Let's do some Dark Elves, and they're the ones that I've actually ended up playing the most of throughout my sort of gaming history. Dark Elves are my go-to. It's why I was prepping them frantically for a return to the battlefield until that disastrous Warhammer community post that told me that my factions were no longer legal, that they were renegades. I don't care though. I'm still going to be rebuilding them because they're, as we saw, as you know, we painted those on stream last week. My crossbowmen, and I've got about half the rest of the army done, including my favourite, my Dreadlord, on his mighty black dragon. But with this event coming up in April, I will have to put them to one side to paint an army that I can actually use. Although there was a moment where I was tempted to see if I could speak to them and speak to the community team and say, can I bring them and use them as High Elves and just use Blackguard as Phoenix Guard and Cold One Knights as Dragon Princes and such and such. But no, I decided in the end I was either going to go with the Night Goblins that we're painting here or with the Wood Elves, and I think after careful consideration I have decided I am going with the Wood Elves. So yeah, where was I? So yeah, 6th edition, spent a lot of time playing with Dark Elves, and into 7th edition as well. Although this is a fun tale. So when finally the the Wood Elf book was announced towards the end of 6th edition, I was over the moon. I was so happy. It was during the summer holidays, I think, just as I'd left school. I want to say it's when I was just left school or left college. I can't remember which one, because I can't remember exactly which year it was. But I remember I'd gotten a summer job, for the summer, but I'd just started it and I hadn't been paid for it yet. And they did a limited edition army box, as they did for all armies back then, where you got basically one or two of every model that was coming out in that release, and you got a limited edition. All those army things had, for the fancy ones at least, all had a limited edition standard bearer. So I was like determined. I was like, these are my favourite army. They're finally being released after however many years I'd been in the hobby at that point. So I was determined to get them. And I remember talking to my mum at the time, my dad at the time, and saying, "Look, I've got this job, um, which will pay me the money that I need to buy the box, but it won't be till after it's gone, like, because it'll come and it'll go, and if you don't get it then, it'll be gone forever." So I remember asking if I could get, like, how I could pay it. Maybe I could borrow the money from them or whatever. And I think it was just before I was going to university. So we went to, actually what we did was my mum and dad said, well, how about you're going to university soon. One of the things you might need is an emergency credit card. In case you need something or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, well I can pay that. So we went to the bank. And I got asked for a credit card, and they were like, yeah, perfect, no worries, whatever. You can, of course, you bank with us forever, and you can have this credit card. And I was like, oh, brilliant. But then we were like, can we have the limit lowered? Because I know that I'm terrible with those sort of things. So we asked them if they could lower the limit, because the army box was £125. So we asked them if we could lower it to 150. So I had to have a special lowered limit put on my credit card, so I could so all it would do is pay for for the Wood Elf army box, and that was it, pretty much. And then I could use it in theory at university if I needed some sort of emergency funds. So I just remember like going, and then also we missed the when we were trying to organise all this. I had missed the mail order window, so obviously they were all sold out on mail order. So I remember ringing up Warhammer Southampton, or Games Workshop Southampton as it was back then, and we said to them, look, I'm desperate to get this box set. Are you getting any in? Thankfully, the manager Rod, who is still there, I believe, he's the one and only manager Southampton has ever had. He said, yes, we will hold it for you, but only for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes before the store, like while the store opens. After that, if you're not here by then, we'll have to let it go to anybody else. So I remember we had to get up especially early, drive all the way down to Southampton, which was a bit of a trek at the time. Queued up outside at 10 to 10, got in, and I remember explaining to them that I had a credit card specially for this army box. And I was just over the moon. I managed to get it, got home with it. I remember poring over and over and over it. That was my army that that was the army I played with most when I was at university. Me and a bunch of friends, we played a lot of various different games. It's where I played a lot of Necromunda, where I fell in love with Necromunda properly. And we played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy Battle at the time. That was the time when my War Dancers managed to kill 16 Iron Breakers with Killing Blow in one charge. A feat I'm incredibly proud of to this day. So that was that edition. But the army never got finished. I remember that now. I painted most of it, because this was back in the day before I discovered things like washes and stuff like that. So all my armies back around that time were all painted very paint by numbers. So like if I was doing this quick, this would be red, these would be bone. That's it. There'd be no washes, no highlights, nothing. It's just colours in the right areas. So that's all I did with them. But I got to within 6 I remember I got to within 6 models of finishing that army. I think there was I had a few Glade Guard to finish in one unit, and a couple of the Way Watchers, because the Way Watchers were just covered in detail, and they were just kind of soul destroying to paint at that period. So I'd been putting them off and doing them one at a time, because as much as I loved them, because they're my favourite unit in a Wood Elf army, is the Way Watchers. They're so cool. It's one of the things I really hope they bring back for the made to order for Wood Elves, is the Way Watchers from 5th edition with the awesome cloaks that have got all the leaves on, because I feel I could actually do them justice now. They were the army I played a lot of around then. Then I ended up working for Games Workshop, and I went back to my Dark Elves again. Had a lot of fun adventures with them because it was. I remember I got to. I went to the doubles tournament with my friend Matt, where we won the Warlord Creek Head Taker Award for the callous disregard of our troops. So you used to give up victory points for what died in an army. So like if you had 1,000 points and everyone they killed the whole thing, they get 1,000 victory points. And there were various bonuses as well, standards, generals, things like that, table quarters. I believe in the course of 7 1,500 point games over the course of the weekend, we gave away over 10,500 victory points, which was just absolutely hilarious. We had a whale of a time doing absolutely stupid stuff and getting our bums handed to us in every game. We had some. There were some successes. I remember we had a unit, like a small unit of marauders, and they got charged by a hydra, dark elf hydra, who then the marauders then went on to just completely shred said hydra with their flails, and then it broke and ran away, and they chased it down and killed it. I had a unit of shades. They were like the only. I'd have to say they were the MVP. Granted, we lost every freaking game and they all died eventually, but they were just like bouncing around like freaking ninjas, like Neo in the Matrix, just shredding people with crossbows. But yeah, the event itself was hilarious. We got the biggest cheer of the weekend when we collected our dubious award, and even the guys from White Dwarf who were there at the time. They were taking it a bit more seriously than us. They asked me to write an article, a little box article for White Dwarf, which I'm still incredibly proud that I got to do. That's definitely a hobby goal ticked off. Be featured in White Dwarf. So yeah, that was really cool. And then, but then sort of, I wanted to make up for my sort of perceived failures. So I kept playing with my Dark Elves. And I remember I got invited to the Studio Invitational Tournament, where I managed to come 8th, only losing to Martin Morin, I believe, and his awesome, powerful Vampire Counts army. This was back in the days when a 2,000 point Vampire Counts army would be 3,000 points by the time it hit you, because they'd start off with loads of small units of ghouls and skeletons and whatnot, and by the time they got to you, those tiny units of like 10 guys would suddenly be 30 men strong, and I just could not deal with that. But my other games I managed to win quite well, so that was good. And then I got to do some playtesting for 8th edition, which was absolutely amazing. Again, another hobby goal ticked off because I got the chance to play one of my absolute hobby heroes, Jervis Johnson. I got to do play a fancy game against him with High Elves. It was really cool. I don't know how much benefit it was to the playtesting, because most of the game I was spending inside screaming like a little girl, and trying desperately not to be fanboy out in front of one of my greatest hobby heroes, and just play the game. I played it incredibly badly and lost, but it was still, I don't care. I got to play a game of fantasy against Jervis Johnson, and I'm so happy for that experience. I also played 1 or 2 games against another famous internet personality currently in Duncan Rhodes. I remember playing his Bretonnian army, of course, and him using his handmaiden to destroy my Dark Elf general, to use the awful dwellers below on him and leave the rest of his unit standing somehow, which was hilarious. And I also managed to I painted a lot of Dark Elves at the time, like quite a lot. I think I had like 100 or or so of the warrior spearmen and warriors and stuff, and they also they got featured in the rule book as well in the big invasion, because there was lots of big sort of dioramas that were set up for the 8th edition book, and one of them was a Dark Elf invasion of Ulthuan, and my Dark Elves are in that photo, and again I'm incredibly proud of that. It's awesome to know that my stuff is in publications like that. So yeah, and then I kind of didn't really do much playing for a long time. Fantasy, I got more into 40k, and also at the time there was the burgeoning Horus Heresy. There was a lot of, that was when we were sort of cowboys and outlaws and renegades hunting down individual parts from sprues to use for making heresy-like models on a forum called The Great Crusade. That's where my focus went to. And then, obviously, sadly, along the way, we lost the Warhammer Fantasy universe. I did get all the books for 8th edition. I have all 3 of the Elf collector's editions for that era. I was going to get really big into the Wood Elves. I just, at the time, sadly, I didn't have the money to pick up a new army of all the lovely new models they did towards the end. Although I did manage to pick up some Wildwood Rangers and a few other bits, which is what's forming the core of my army now. Then the game disappeared and all went quiet, and still came over the land. I toyed with redoing them for Age of Sigmar for a long time, especially when they brought out the first Cities of Sigmar book, and it was basically kind of like, hey, here's how you can use all your old Warhammer stuff in Age of Sigmar. I thought about it, I pondered it, I mulled it over, and I decided, I think I got distracted. I might have attempted 1 or 2 bits here and there for both Dark Elves and Wood Elves, and then there came a rumbling in the trees, in the hills. That a new game had been found. The Old World was coming back, and I was over the moon, absolutely over the moon, because I think some of my best I had lots of really good game memories from all the games I play, but I think there's something really special to me about Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I can't put my finger on it. I can't tell you why. I said I've probably played a lot more 40k than I have ever done fantasy, but there's just something special about the Old World, and I'm so happy to have it back. And I want to show, and also so it never goes away again, I want to be at the forefront and make sure that I am doing everything I can to help support the game. So one of those things will be obviously going to as many events as I can. And this is a good excuse for me to restart. Again, I've said it before on the stream a few times, is that I think this is roughly the 30th anniversary of me getting into the hobby. And I got into the hobby with both Dark Angels and Wood Elves at the same time. So I think it's only fitting that this year they're both sort of being re-released, kind of. And these are the 2 armies that I am most happy to paint this year. Make sure I've got painted and in my cabinets. And I said I really hope I can go to an event, especially for 40k. And like I said, I'm going to this fancy one, but I desperately want to go with some. I'm going to the 40k one, sorry, the fancy one. I think I'm going by myself, which will be the first experience of me going to an event by myself, which I'm excited and or nervous about. But also, I'm kind of, and the one thing I really want to do is I want to go with a bunch of friends to a 40k event. So if any of my friends are in the chat who fancy going to a 40k event, if there's any that have the word team or narrative in them, especially, those I want to go to, and I would love to go with some of my friends and hopefully we'll do some. Because the other reason I want to go to these events as well is to do some vlogs. This guy, yay! That's getting awesome. Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, I want to take a little team down. I want to form Team Onyx Dragon. We can go down. Because I want to do some vlogs, which we can put up on YouTube. You know, share our experiences of the event. That'd be fun. Like I say, I really want to do Dark Angels for that. I will have to speak to my 40k friends and get them to help me to plan a list that's somewhat okay. That definitely includes the Lion, 100,000%. Must include Lionel Johnson, and hopefully as well. I really hope I want to include the new Inner Circle companions. You go to a teeth in Combat Patrol event in a week. Ooh, exciting! What are you taking? What have you decided to go with? Which Combat Patrol? You and Mark Ashworth. Ooh, exciting. Guard. Ah, so that should be interesting. That's one of the things I really like about 10th edition. I think the Combat Patrol format is a really cool idea. Especially now that they're also releasing like extra Combat Patrols, as in what ones you can take in things like White Dwarf. I think the latest White Dwarf had a list for what are they called? Raven Guard Patrol, Combat Patrol, which is pretty swish. So that sounds really cool. I'd be really interested. I can't wait to hear how that goes for you, dude. You can tell me all about it. Because that's the other cool thing about Combat Patrol. It's a really good excuse to try. Yeah, definitely. It's fine. Yeah, definitely. I'll show you all the shiny things. But yeah, I want to play. I said I keep looking at some of the Combat Patrols and being like, ooh, because they are fun. Because it's something different. You know, you can do it's like a good 20 roughly sort of, let's say between 20, 30 models in a Combat Patrol box. I think it's a great format. Yeah, just try something different. Get in a bunch of games quite quickly as well, I would have thought, because we're talking like somewhere between sort of 500 to 1,000 points maybe? I don't know, roughly. 20 Guardsmen, Command Squad, Sentinel and 2 Artillery. Yeah, that's not a lot. That's not a lot of dudes. It's a good excuse, like I said, it's a good excuse to paint something a bit different. But this is honestly, I understand this is exactly how they get you. Because from 8 to wow, okay. From 6 to 8, wow, that's what you call an efficient event. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That sounds really fun, actually. Ooh. In and out. But yeah, like I said, there's been quite a couple of the Combat Patrols that I've really liked the look of. Especially for armies that I don't necessarily think I'd want to paint a whole army for. Like, I've been looking at the squats, and I will call them squats, not Votan. But yeah, the squats are one of those, because I was like, they're kind of cool, but they haven't. I think they need another They need another release. It's a bit like the Sisters. When the Sisters first got re-released, it was cool, but everything was just like the basic stuff. And then it wasn't until the second release when we got like the Castigator and the Paragon war suits and stuff, and the Sacrosanct, that I really felt them come alive. You know, they were new again and exciting. So I'm hoping that there'll be another Votan release this year or next year that will have a bunch of new shiny things in them. And hopefully some special characters as well, because at the moment they've got the one who's just a dude, it seems. I'd like to see like one of their Grimnir, their sort of wizardy type people, would be really cool. as a special character. And I don't think the other thing as well with the Votan, they don't have a really big, cool centerpiece yet. They've got their weird little lunar rover thing, the Hernkin Land Fortress or whatever it is, which is nice, but I don't think it's quite awesome enough to be a centerpiece model. It'd be cool if there was like some sort of Amble of Doom style thing for the Votan. That would be freaking awesome, and that would definitely get me doing them. But yeah, their Comet Patrol. I don't know what it's got in it, but that'd be a tempting one. I'm assuming their Comet Patrols it'd be the same as what was in their army box, right? Which was some dudes, some of the biker dudes, and I think is it the champion in her armor? Yes, thank you, Muskin. You can tell me what it is. Yeah, because they're definitely one of the ones I would do if I wanted to do combat patrol. Yeah, they're very cool. Like I said, not cool enough to do a full army of yet, but one day. I've got too many things on the back burner. I've got an entire Tyranid army set. Awesome, yeah. there's a rant. The GW website. Ugh. Like there are parts of it I really like. Like it seems a bit quicker going through to things now, but it seems a lot harder to find. Like to narrow down what I want. Like I want to look for this one thing, or I want to look for one type of thing, and it's like no, you must go through everything we make now, including resin and books and all sorts. But anyway, let's talk about something awesome. Squigs! Look at these mighty. Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, that actually filters between things that are relevant as well. Look at this. Look at this little fella. Oh, I'm really pleased with these guys. They've come out quite well, I think. So we're going to go back in because there's a few details that I think I've missed in my excitement to paint their wonderful gobs. We've missed a few things, like this guy's got a couple of spikes sticking out of him, which will do the same way as the teeth, and also we've got the claws as well. And then we'll have a quick look at this fella. Right, so I'm going to bite the bullet with this guy. You're right on the Votan Combat Patrol. Is it? Yeah. Is it just? It's the Einhair champion, whatever he's called, in the power armor, 3 bikes and 10 dudes. Anything, or is there maybe one of the little buggies in there, or is it just those guys? 3 bikes and some dudes with the champion. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. I think because I actually have 2 of the army boxes when they came out, so I've actually got all of that at home. I could make my own combat patrol because I also bought the Einhair dude. Because I went with my plan was Votan at the time. Obviously, I'm very susceptible to ooh shiny things, and the Votan were ooh shiny squats. So of course I wanted to jump on that bandwagon at the time, but I wanted. I really like the power armor guys because they look just like the StarCraft Marines. So that's also the kind of paint scheme I wanted to go with, was that blue armor. I did a couple of test figures, as with all my hummies. Did a couple of test figures, and that was about it. But yeah, they look quite cool. But yeah, I think maybe I might buy if Combat Patrol becomes a little bit of a thing. I might Votan would be one of them. I would do. The other is an army that I've been toying with for a while, with the ideas of, and I got some stuff for Christmas as a maybe sort of to test them with. Is Necrons. So Necrons are one of those armies that I've never painted for myself. Way back in the day, I was asked to do a Necron army painting, and I tried to go for a terracotta warrior style look to them. So they were more like stone with sort of weathering powders and stuff on them. And this is my my peak for the number. Yeah, the number of models I've painted in a day, which was there was 100 warriors. It was 100 warriors, 6 destroyers, a monolith, and a lord. I painted in a day from scratch. That was a caffeine-infused day of painting. I think that will probably stand for a long, long time as the as the most models I've ever painted in a day. Although if things take off, we might have to do a crazy stream at some point where we can see if we can break that number. We'll fix something. Think of something we can do. Might do like a streamathon for like however many 100, like 24 hours or something, and see how many models we can get done in 24 hours from scratch. But yeah, that was the thing. See, the problem with the Terracotta Warrior thing was I think it would need a lot more experimentation. They didn't come out as well as I wanted them to. And also, to be honest, again, I really like their original, I say original, not their original look for Necrons, because that's like 2nd edition. But when they came out in 3rd edition, they had a really, really dark look to them. Like, this is back when the Nightbringer was a thing, and they had the Pariahs, which were like kidnapped blanks that they'd forcibly transformed into like sort of Necron warriors, sort of Cybermen style, which is pretty cool. That was my favourite era of Necrons, and I think if I want to do them again, I want to do that. It's that classic. It's the classic dark, really dark metal, with sort of the black with green edge highlights on them. So yeah, so I'm coming back to rescue this tongue. I think we might do a couple of layers here. So I've thinned down some Druchii Violet, because what I'm going to try and do, like I say, is just build up a couple of layers on the texture, just to give it, like I said, give it a bit more relief. So I'm going to blast it with the hairdryer that I yeeted across the room. One sec. There we go, so that's one layer. We'll go for another one on top. Just trying to get it to settle where I want it. It's going to be the hard part. Yeah, Necron Combat Patrol would be another one I'd really like to do. I'll tell you what, I need to open up the GW page, I think, and have a look at some of them, because I think there's a couple of others. I don't know what's in the NID one. The NID one might be cool, because I think I've got most of it. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Let's head to warhammer.com and navigate its treacherous paths. I reckon that this new website was made by Zinch himself, because it's a labyrinthine maze of weirdness. Can I just look up combat patrols? I mean, I suppose I could search combat patrol. Combat. Nope, class spell. B-A-T. Combat patrol. So, what is in the NID one? Yeah, the NID one, just the contents of Leviathan, which I have. So, I could do that too. But that's a lot of gaunts. And gaunts will be the death of me. I've tried to paint gaunts before a few times, and it has not gone well for me. Right, I think we're going to leave that tongue for now, because I think maybe the best thing to do is come back in and highlight it, like some really fine highlights, and that might be what I'm looking for anyway. So we're going to do something a little bit different on the Colossal Squig, in that whilst his teeth are going to be painted the same way as the other Squigs, he's got these little weird horns. He's got these sort of horns on his head here, so we're going to paint those in. Yeah. No, the Combat Patrols, like I said, it seems like a really fun format. I look forward to hearing about what the event's like, because if it's A, relatively quick to do as an event, and also relatively quick as a cool thing to paint, that might be something we can do. After we finished our Night Goblins, we might have a go at a Combat Patrol. Yes, cheers. Right, so in the meantime, we will return to the world of fantasy. The problem with 40k is like there's too many cool things I want to do. I think it's just because I'm exposed to it too much. But no, I'm limiting my 40k forays this year to one, if not two projects. The number one project that I desperately want to get done, 100%, regardless of any other issues or whatnot, is my Dark Angels. That has to be done. The Lion has been sat in my cabinet now since his release, and he demands some warriors to fight with. No doubt I'll be massively fired up to do that when after the stream with Ben next week. Because as excited as I can get about hobby, if Ben and I get in the same room together and we start talking about things, sweet mother of Christ, we will get so fired up between the two of us. The amount of crazy hobby projects that have come out of just the two of us sat around talking about starting off something simple like, have you seen this one new model? You do it from the studio? No, we're going to be doing it from the studio here because it has all the equipment. We'll squeeze in together in front of the green screen, and we'll try and bring up some pictures and cool things we can show off on the stream. At some point I will be building the home studio properly, but for now the fine folks over here at AJTCG are hosting us in their wonderful stream booths, all their fancy technology that I could only dream of at my house at the moment. But who knows? Maybe now we've hit affiliate, we might go super crazy, and with all the sub money, we can go out and get dinner probably. No, I kid. Yeah, hopefully as things go along and we build up and we get bigger and bigger, we will be able to. I'm hoping to build a new studio, which I have dubbed the Orbiting Volcanic Lair, because I want a big painting studio with a spray booth and things. Donation goals are everything too. Well, see, I will have to look into that. This is the scary thing. I thought it'd be easier. Like I'd hit affiliate, it'd be like, yay, there'd be a couple of things to do, and we'd move on and just try and push forward and keep growing and doing whatever. And like every time I realise like I've hit something or there's a new goal, new level, there's a lot of cool stuff that comes along with it and a lot more new stuff to do. So just as I think I can just sit back and paint, there are many things we can do. So yeah, we might set up some donation goals for stuff like that. Also, we're looking into maybe setting up a Patreon at some point as well. I don't know. Like I said, these are all things that I've heard tell of on the internet, and we shall see. But for now, I'm just going to keep plugging away Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, painting stuff and talking nonsense on the internet. Yes. So yeah. So of course the other army that I could have done for this event in April would have been Bretonians or Tomb Kings. Don't know how much longer I'm going to keep that pretense up, because we're still, sadly, the one thing we are still waiting for, me and Al, is our Old World boxes to decide what we're painting and who's painting what, for our long-term challenge that will be over on YouTube. I'm looking forward to. I say I'm looking forward to it. I think that'd be more. It'd be fun. Sad times. I know. I'm hoping now that GW have been nudged a couple of times, that they might actually get it done, and they'll be. You will look down at your phone. One box. Me too. So badly. Like, even though I just had a massive shipment of stuff, I'm like, I want my war stuff. Because also, the other stuff that's in that order for me is all my bases. Which you're thinking, I know. Yeah, GW Logistics is absolutely up what's it creek without a paddle right now. I have no idea how they've managed to get themselves into this hole, but they have. And by God, does it need sorting out. I mean, I know, like I said, I know that these things can't be sorted out overnight. I know this. Obviously, the more successful they are, the more people want things, the harder and you've got so many ranges now, so many games. You can't just, production capacity doesn't just come overnight, but at the same time, it should come after a couple of years, right? Because we've been having these sort of issues on and off now for what? A couple of years, I think pretty much since the pandemic. They're almost a victim of their own success. But they also, I think, the relentless, constant releases of so many different things doesn't make it easy either. And people are so much on a FOMO kick. Like, you need to get it now, or it will be 6 months before it comes back. Because that's the thing. I was considering doing whichever army it is I'm doing with me now for this army this thing in April. But the problem with that is, it's a lot harder to get hold of the bits I'd need to turn it into a 1,500 point thing. Because I worked out, I think the boxes are roughly 1,000 points. So I need to put 500 points worth of stuff on top of that to make it into a full army for this event. And I don't know if there's actually 500 points worth of stuff to get hold of. It's like, I've seen people keep buying, going, oh, I've picked up a Necrosphinx in this random local stockist. Maybe that could be a thing. Just go trolling around. I think my favourite thing, my favourite thing about like the Old World release is the Knights on Foot. The Bretonian, where are they? Where the F are those knights? Like, they kind of announced them. They announced they were coming, obviously, as part of the release. And then when they went up for everything went up for pre-order, they weren't in the article mentioned, but they were on the price listings for like stores and stuff. And then it came to release day and they weren't there, and we've heard hide nor hair of them since. Like, they're just not. They're just like, it's like they just evaporate. Like, they never existed. I don't know what you're talking about. And I found it even funnier because apparently at the event, the sort of release event for Old World, they were giving them out for people to paint. So like, where the crunk are they? Like, where have they been? Same with the special character, the on the unicorn. Is it Luce Ducar? Absolutely stunning model. And they've released a How to Paint Heavy Metal Masterclass on Warhammer TV, but you can't buy the model. She's not up for sale. It's ridiculous. We want Frenchmen. I want the units on foot. They're really cool. To be honest, though, I'd also like the rest of the range back too. I'd like to be able to buy more Knights of the Realm, or more Skeleton Chariots, because if I was going to do a Tomb King's army, I really want to do like a skeleton, like a proper chariot horde, because I think all Tomb Kings should be mounted in a chariot. It's one of my strong opinions. No Battle Standard Bearers? No, Battle Standard Bearer in the middle of Tomb Kings. That's where he belongs. Because you've got to have one. As we all know, you have to have a flag. How are you going to win games and conquer territory if you do not have a flag? So you've got to have that there. Only if those chariots pulled by snakes. Oh, no. No, according to the Tomb Kings, you surf snakes. Obviously. Don't pull them, but they don't have them. They're undead horses for that. Hashtag no horses. Do you know what would be even better? It'd be better if there weren't no horses, true, But can you imagine undead camels? Tell me you wouldn't want to see that. Undead camel chariot? I'm telling you, it's the future. I'd begin, yeah, telling you. Undead camel riders. I would freaking love that. Somebody who knows anatomy and can sculpt, get on making undead camels in 28mm. I want to see skeletal camels. Although, I kind of like, okay, this is going to be dangerous, but I think I'm going to put into Google and see what a camel skeleton actually looks like. Just to really confuse the FBI. Oh, see, they're not as exciting as I thought. I mean, granted, you're not going to get the humps and everything, but they've got weird heads. Yeah. I was worried then for a moment that I was going to turn camel skeleton and it'd be like they'd have some sort of weird bones. Weird shaped bones and whatnot. But thankfully not. We got away with that. Right. One thing I am going to do to the eyeballs of this gigantic cave squig. So look at this. Remember? Oh yes. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely it. That definitely needs to be a custom emote, I think. Yeah. Remember when you could buy things? Remember when tactical squads came in a box at 10 for £10? £10. I used to think that, like, I remember when I first got in the hobby, like, I look back, I remember my friend of mine had a box of the 3 rhinos from Rogue Trader. You used to get 3 rhinos in a box, and it still had the price sticker on, and it was £10 for 3 rhinos. I remember thinking, my God, how good value that was. Like, £10 for 3 rhinos? What? You could only get 10 Marines for £10 now. And now I look back and I weep. I weep. Not even silently. I weep and moan. Oh, how much I wish I could buy 10 Marines for £10. Or 8 or 4. What was it? It was either 4 or 8. Or, no, not even 5. No, 5 and 5 of High Elf Archers and High Elf Spearmen for £5. I love those little boxes. They were so cool. Those little £5 boxes, do you remember? With all the Warhammer, all the different Warhammer races, with their monopose dudes. Oh, that era is... I'm probably looking back on it with massively rose-tinted glasses, just because it was when I first started. But, like, just everything about that era, just the colours of the boxes, or, like, the different armies, and they were quite vibrant. Like, I love the logos. The classic hand-drawn logos, they're so pretty. Like they're not as nice. I think they're so much flatter now. Like if you go to look at the 40k logo, it just feels like it's really, really bland as such. I love that late 90s art style where things had like people were really into sort of painting chrome and gold and things. So yeah, that's my member for today. Remember those little boxes. They were the tits. You could buy all those things, or just mail order as well. That's another one. I'm gonna go down on a tangent on memory lane now. All the random stuff I remember as being a young hobbyist. Being able to mail order bits was the coolest thing in the world. Being able to mail order like just that one gun or that shield that one guy had. So I want to have like an entire unit with that shield, so I'm going to buy 20 of it. You know. It's one thing I think the hobbies, like a lot, some of the modern games that 40k, that Warhammer promotes now. One thing we're missing, one side of the hobby that I miss a lot is conversions. Like 40k has this thing now where you can only take the stuff that the model has, like that the model comes with. So if like Space Marine Captain comes with a power fist and a plasma pistol, you can only take a power fist and a plasma pistol. You know, You can't even be like, well, one of them has a power sword and one of them has a plasma pistol. So can I have a plasma pistol and a power sword? It's like, no, you have to have the exact combination that the model comes with. And I feel like that's a real shame that that's gone, because I think converting models was a really core part of the hobby. You know? Like, it almost felt like a rite of passage when you converted your first model. I've seen some awful conversions. Like, I'm talking god-awful conversions. I remember one kid who must have bought a land speeder, which had both a heavy bolter and a multi-melter as the options. And he must have used the heavy bolter on it because he'd taken the multi-melter from the spare from the kit and put it on an assault marine, like on a pistol grip. So this poor assault marine is just like wielding a multi-melter on a pistol grip. And I'm not saying that's the worst conversion ever, because it was done quite well. It just clearly just looked really ludicrous. But the point being was, like, he tried. Like, he used that. He converted that. It was really cool. And everyone wants to make something, like, especially when you want to make characters. When it comes to, like, characters that represent you as your avatar on the battlefield, I think you should be able to have, like, having all those options was part of it, you know? Being able to choose what your avatar had is doing, you know, just because you wanted the look of it. Like, especially like when it comes to Dark Angels, right? Like, I love characters with swords, because I think the sword is such a specific thing, right? To Dark Angels, it's one part of their iconography is swords. And for a long time, there wasn't actually a Primaris captain with a sword. With a sword and bolt pistol even, because you could have the sword with the massive gun, with the bolt rifle. And I'm like, I don't want the bolt rifle, I want a bolt pistol and sword. And it just was kind of sad, like, just felt a bit lacking that I couldn't do it. But in the end of the day, I think we just keep pushing it. We keep just pushing and saying, look, no, I'm going to convert this anyway. And just as long as you tell your opponent, surely it's okay. But I missed that it's part encouraged. It was like it's part encouraged by the hobby itself to do your own conversions. I mean, hell, the Smash Captain was a conversion that everyone did for years. Be you a narrative gamer or a competitive gamer. Let's be honest. Almost everyone Space Marine Army had one of those at one point. Wow, he's specific. Very devilish like that, isn't it? And these guys are a little bit more fun to them. Right, where are we? I think we need to highlight these little claws, which we can do with some Eshin Grey. Yeah, that's definitely going to be one of... So we're going to have 2 emotes already for the channel when everything ticks over. The tangent tab for when I decide to randomly go off on one. One of my friends has decided that I should have a channel reward where you can tell me to get back on track, old man, and get back onto what I should be doing, rather than old man ranting at cloud. We'll see how that works out. Oh yeah, so that's our next great adventure will be into how to expand out the channel with all these new cool features. It's going to be fun and interesting, and I'm going to learn a whole new set of stuff, like how to make animations for the little celebrations that pop up on screen. So rather than just seeing me standing in front of this, we'll have hopefully all sorts of things bouncing around the screen when stuff happens. Should learn how to do that. Yeah, I really should have brought the entire... I wish I'd had more time, because I genuinely think I could have painted an entire Squig herd tonight. Although I'd be a bit sad that I can't rank them all up. Although saying that, we've got this little fella at the back who hasn't been painted. So we can go back and do him as well in a minute. Right, let's do old devil face here. I think I'm definitely going to paint some pupils in these eyes, because right now it just looks creepy. And And Squigs aren't creepy, Squigs are just crazy. There's a bit of a difference. I'm going to try and paint some striations on this horn so that it looks horn-like, but not too much so. Go over the top. There we go. There's a few striations on that side, so if you can see them. Yeah. So now I'm going to go on a real tangent because I've been thinking about all my old box games and all the old things that I love and miss about the hobby. And one of the things that I'm really sad about, and I really want more than anything else, another model that I want more than anything else, is the Imperator class Battle Titan for Adeptus Titanicus. Like, I've heard all of the arguments that Forge World come up with as to why they can't do it. How it's supposed to be the size of like a 40k Reaver in Titanicus scale, all that kind of nonsense. I don't care what size it's supposed to be. You know, it doesn't matter. It's one of the coolest things. It's a walking cathedral, and especially now as well. Now we have it in Legionis type. Now we have Legionis Imperialis, which has lots of troops. The other sort of thing about Imperator class Titans is they carried entire companies of dudes in the feet. And now we have dudes in the game. That's no reason to build it. They're the coolest things ever. And I hate it like when you're like, there's so apparently it's the one question that get asked more than anything else. When are we getting Imperator Titan? When are we getting Imperator Titan? And I'm like, oh, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. Why? Why are you leaving money on the table? Like, I don't care if it was resin, right? If they brought it out in resin, not in plastic, they brought it out in resin, and they said, this is going to cost you 250 quid or 300 quid, right? I don't care. I would still buy one, because it's the freaking coolest. It's my favourite model of all time, is the Imperator Titan. I still have one of the old ones from Titan Legions in a box somewhere. But it is an incredibly bad model. Like, in terms of, it was one of the first plastic kits they ever did, and it really shows its age. Really does. But it's still massively awesome and intimidating. And we've seen them on multiple cover arts for various novels that GW has put out in the Horus Heresy, especially. Heck, there's even a novel called Imperator, set on an Imperator class Titan, right? So where is he? Where is he, Games Workshop? Where's my flipping Imperator Titan? I want it. Don't care how much it is. Classic Fry meme. Shut up and take my money. I want one. That was a random diatribe there that I just thought of because I'm thinking about all the old box sets. But yeah, I really want one. It's still the coolest Titan ever made. There was a variant one, the Warmonger, that some people like, but me. There's something about a Gatling gun that's the size of like a small office block, and a plasma cannon that, you know, is like firing Chernobyl at people. On top of like hundreds of studded guns all over these crenellated battlements between the shoulders of the Titan. Like, oh, it was just so cool. And that, again, come back to that classic GW artwork, that Jeff Taylor cover for Titan Legions. Oh, it's just the best. I remember poring over that in the magazine, the Welcome to Warhammer, like GW Hobby magazine you could get. And just being like, I want that model so badly. I think it took me 15 years to track one down in the end. 15 years. But I got it. And now I want a new one. Because I'll never be satisfied. So, yeah. So yeah, we're just going to put some highlights on the claws, which I think is working quite nicely. We've gone with the old black claws, which I think works again. I know it's black, silver, and red, but I think it does stand out quite nicely from the red, and also from the teeth. I think they're a better colour for. I think if we went for the same colour on the claws, we went on for the teeth, I don't think it would work as well. But I think it works really nicely on these. Just got to figure out trying to decide what colour mushrooms we're going to do, because normally I go for the classic red cap mushrooms. You know, the sort of classic toadstool look, Alice in Wonderland style. But the problem is with it being a big red dude, big red squig on top, that would look a bit weird. So I think I have to do some research. I have to look at some actual mushrooms. Maybe sort of brownish colour, maybe that'll work. Sort of a, you know, maybe a sort of Steel Legion drab type colour on the top. Although we might be able to get away with it. I tell you what we might be able to do is just paint it Rakarth flesh, and then do a series of washes of Agrax, so it kind of stains it going up the cap. That might work. Don't know. I shall keep thinking whilst I'm trying to talk and paint at the same time. Yeah, here we go. See, this is the other cool thing is this is making me excited to do the Mangler Squig. I think the only thing I'm worried about Mangler Squig now is doing the massive tongues on the Mangler Squigs. But I think we've nearly figured out what we're doing with these. I think maybe if I work in some, we'll have a go at highlighting them in a minute. So this is what so I'm now going to be nattering about all sorts of this as we go through and the decisions I'm making, because I think sometimes talking it through out loud helps make a decision. But yeah, I think there we go. Got the boingy boingy. Doom 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 doom. Right, so let's take the plunge. Let's have another fiddle about with this tongue, shall we? I think what we need to do is we need to mix in some Screaming Skull in with some of this pink horror, which we were using as our highlight. So we've got like a soft pink. Thin it right down. Not that much. So I'll be able to maintain control without it slipping everywhere. I don't want it too thick. Right, here we go. Ooh. So I'm thinking if I can just get maybe a few like highlight lines on some of the sort of muscle ridges, not the little sort of fibres. Might just add a bit of detail that we're looking for. Yeah, this is definitely the most difficult part, I think, of this model I've done so far, is this tongue, because I'm trying to give it some detail without it's also at such an awkward angle. I hope you guys can see. I'm trying to keep it in shot as best as I can. I'm slowly learning how to do that. So we'll try and it's a bit too much. Just try and highlight a little bit down the side. Bring that highlight up. Ooh. Underneath a bit. God, it just feels like I'm painting with fromage frais. It's a weird colour. I'm not used to painting bright pinks, if I'm brutally honest. Having not really painted a Emperor's Children army, which is Zinchian pink horrors, or it's not a colour I'm very experienced with. So I think that's probably why I'm struggling so much with it. Just trying to get a slightly sort of blended look to it, but it's not. Doesn't really want to play ball with me. That might work. So I'm not as vocal, but I really, I don't know. I'm struggling with this detail. And it always hurts when you get that one bit where it's like you're so happy with the rest of the model, and then you come across something like this, and it just becomes a fight almost. But I think we might be getting there. Let's see. Put in a little bit of a. Oh dear. Right, come on. Let's get down the middle. Get a highlight down the middle there. Oof. Yeah, I think I am really struggling with this tongue, I have to say. I think we might just have to leave it rather than keep messing about, because I think if we keep messing with it, it's just going to look worse and worse. So I will have a think and have an experiment with what I'm trying to do. Maybe after we've done all the other details, it will blend in, and it probably looks alright. I'm probably just being super critical of myself. So let's go back. Let's get the teeth done on this guy, and let's get the first of all, I will get the eyes finished, because I want to get those. I think once we add a bit of laughter to the model. Oh, careful there. Ooh. I'm not used to painting with so many things arcing around me. Right, let's try and get some soul into this creature. There we go. See, the great thing about these guys is, I don't think it matters if they're slightly cockeyed, because they're weird-looking creatures to begin with. So I think we can get away with that. Boggly-eyed there. I think I will neaten up the pupil on this one a little bit. Wow, I think I've ever been this gentle painting anything in my life. Just trying to put a tiny amount of paint onto this. Okay, now I've ruined it. Not too much, too far. We'll start again on this eye. That's fine. It's what happens. Yeah, it's what happens with detail sometimes. We'll give this another go. We'll start with small people and just try and build it up a bit this time. So, oddly dilated pupils, just to make it look like he's got a concussion, which I think totally works for a squig. Here we go. That's better. Now we've got eyes. Cool, right. Back to the teeth. Get the teeth on this fella done. easily get these guys done before we end the stream tonight, which means we can start on something. We can do trolls on Wednesday. That'd be fun. Although I think I'll make sure I've experimented with one first this time, because we've got 6 trolls to paint for the army. So we'll do. I think I'll do one myself tomorrow, probably off stream. Get a good idea of what I want to do with it, and then we'll bring in a couple to do for Wednesday stream. And then, as I say, Friday we'll be doing some Star Wars miniatures. I think I'm definitely leaning. I don't know, because I think a group of B1 battle droids might be fun to paint as a big group. Just to show off how easy it is to paint really effective droids. But it's also just as it's also just as awesome to do Empire troops as well. Stormtroopers. Although to be honest, but the thing about it, the only problem is the Stormtroopers. They get them replaced this year because when they first did Legion, they had those sort of the weird plastic rubbery plastic. I don't know how to describe it. It's the sort of game piece plastic you see in board games and things. Not the hard plastic that like these GW miniatures made of. And then as they when they brought out the sort of next expansion, when they went to the Clone Wars era, that's when they moved to hard plastics. And they're redoing. I know this year they're redoing a bunch of the old sort of kits. So things like the Stormtroopers are getting redone in hard plastic, which is awesome. But it does mean, in the meantime, I've got loads of these Legion ones sat at home in the old rubbery plastic, and they're a pain to work with. They're really hard to get nice and clean. As anyone who's ever put a Privateer Press Warjack together will tell you, that material is awful. It's really soft when it comes to detail, and it's absolute nightmare to work with, or at least it was for me anyway. Hard plastic is by far and away my favourite medium to work with. Angles and everything are really nice and sharp. Things go together the same the first time as they do the 100th time. There's very little variation, which is quite nice. But yeah, so maybe we'll either do a character model for one of the later characters that are in plastic, or we'll do a bunch of droids, because the droids are all hard plastic, and whilst they're a pain in the ass to build because they're all tiny, they are really fun to paint because they're really satisfying. They're like super quick, and you just get them. They only have like a few extra details on them. So once you've got like the base of that sort of colour, the sort of weird bony colour that they are, sort of tan bone colour, they're so quick. I think the only things that are quicker are B2 super battle droids. I remember when I was painting a bunch of Legion stuff for my friends, James, you asked me, you bought some super battle droids, and we were like, oh, can you put these in the army as well? And I was like, yeah, sure. I think I literally took them home, and then 2 hours later I messaged you and was just like, they're done. They're all finished. In fact, if anything, I think the longest thing, the longest part of them to do was the bases. So yeah, the Legion stuff's so cool for that. You can really get some awesome finish. You get some really cool looking models really quickly. So yeah, that was funny. I remember that. He was just like, "What?" Yeah, that was in the period where I was painting like nobody's business. I'm trying to get back to that level of productivity because that was the best time for me. It was pandemic. The pandemic was the best time in the world for me to paint. I painted so many miniatures. And I said it with miniatures. See, here we go. I'm going to go on another quick little rant now. I really can't stand the word minis. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you what about it makes me like cringe or whatever, but I really can't stand the word minis. I throwing things around. It's weird. I think it started off as like an American thing. I think Americans call things minis a lot. Like, oh, these are the minis that come with this set, and I'm like, I don't know why. I think for me, things are either models or miniatures. And I don't know. It just there's something about it. There's something about the word minis that just feels wrong. Yeah, it was very much. It felt like it was very much an American thing to begin with, but I think it's now starting to come over here. People talk about their minis for things. Like I think the first time I sort of heard it was in relation to sort of D&D type games. So people would say, "Oh, these are my D&D minis," and I was, but like I said, it just feels like it's spread a lot more recently. So yes, math is same rant as before. Yeah, it comes under the same bracket as me for me. Yeah, math. It's not math. It's math. It's a plural word. There is more than one math. Just, that's like calling one James a Jame. There's no such thing as a Jame. His name is James. Yeah, that and could care less. No, you could. Yeah, we could all care less about things. What you're trying to say is you couldn't care less. Because saying you could care less implies that there is less you could care about it. It means you do care at some point. Not how these words work. You can't just make up your own fucking dictionary and decide that all these things are different. Like, this is the thing. This is why Americans can't spell either. Because Webster was like, I'm making up my own dictionary. I'm going to change all the rules of English. Look, I'm not saying that English is the best language in the world. It's crazy, and none of the rules make sense. But they're still there for a reason. Just because you yeet some tea into some water does not mean that you get to change how the English language works. Tell you what, another thing that bugs me. See, I love Americans, don't get me wrong. Like, I dress like a Midwestern American farmer most of the time. Aluminium. Yes, I know technically they discovered it and blah, 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 blah. But all the like elements, they're all eums. You know, francium, rubidium, yttrium, helium. Like, it's a thing that fits in the periodic table. That's why we changed it from aluminum to aluminium. But yeah, the other thing, what was I saying? I got sidetracked by aluminium there. Oh no, brain's gone. Damn it, I'll come back in a minute. No doubt my anger towards... I said, no, I like America, don't get me wrong. I like a lot about America. But there's certain things that just drive me up the wall. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, one of the things that bugs me is when I get referred to as being British. Right? Oh, you British. Okay? I'm not British, I'm English. I wouldn't mind if they're referred to all British people like that. But Scottish people get called Scottish. Right? They're not British, they're Scottish. So I'm like, if you want to refer to us separately, that's fine. Or if you want to refer to us collectively, that's also fine. But pick one. You know? I'm English. I'm not British. Yeah, there we go. That's my random ass rant for the night. There's probably gonna be more. I'm sure you can just poke me. I will put 50p in the slot. It will make me rant about more things. But yeah, as much as I love America, there's just certain words and phrases they use that just bug the ever living crap out of me, and make me want to stab people in the eye with a spoon. It's probably not healthy, but I don't care. Right. Oh, remember to do this. On screen, you fool. Yeah, we're going to go back over the teeth. Wash them down. Blarg. What sort of noise a squig makes? Because, you know, they're all mouth. But I wouldn't have thought they got like big lungs. So they're probably like trying to roar, but like not much because they haven't got much in the way of lung capacity. Or are they so bouncy because they're made of helium? Like they breathe, like they've got loads of helium in there. So does that mean they're like really high pitched squeaky roars on a squig? It's like, ah! These are the things you think of when your mind is being driven insane by Americans and their bad use of words. No, like I said, I love America. Like I said, I spent most of my weekend watching American sports and sports entertainment. But yeah, they don't half bug me with some of the things they say. And minis is just one of them. Like I said, I could not explain to you why, but it's like nails on a chalkboard. And no doubt, me saying this out loud for the first time means a lot of my friends are going to start bugging me by calling things minis all the time. But these are ribbings I will put up with for a little while, at least, because it allows me to see who's watched the stream. Maybe that should be the perks. One of the perks of being a stream subscriber and watcher is you get to insult me with all the crap that I speak about on the stream. You can use it against me officially. No, never. No, yeah, I can imagine there, Baskin. I can definitely. You would never do that. You'd never needle me with anything. You guys are just the most supportive, helpful, friendly bunch. You would never take anything said like this and use it against me. But then that's what friends are for, right? If you can't rib people over silly things like their hatred of the word minis, what's the point in having them? Yeah. Here we go. I think we can declare these 4 finished, I think. Well, no, we've got fungi to paint. At least these 2. These 2 are definitely finished because they are on little bases by themselves. Look at that. Look at these angry little fellas. Aren't they cool? I just need to scrounge up some 25mm square bases now so we can start ranking them up. And their big brother. Right, where have we got? Have we got the Rakarth flesh? We do have the Rakarth flesh. Right, let's go in and paint some of these, at least some of the stems of these mushrooms. The shroomage. On these bases. Because whilst we can't finish the bases totally, we can paint these little bits of detail. Don't know what colours do they? I still can't. I think we're gonna. I think maybe we stick with brown tones for the mushrooms. Make it look like the veg department in Sainsbury's. So the thing is, right, so next week obviously we're doing the Dark Angel stream on Monday. I know I probably should continue with these guys next week, especially on a Wednesday. But I feel like next week might end up being a full Dark Angel week. Right? Because we'll have Belial as well. We'll have the new Terminators. We've painted a Deathwing Terminator on stream, but we've got those new Deathwing Knights coming, and Belial. And I think if we manage to paint one Deathwing Terminator in a night, I think we could probably paint the entirety of Belial in one sitting, even though he's a special character. He's got all sorts of funky bits on him. I kind of want to see now. I want to see if we can do that. We'll see if we can paint all of Belial on Wednesday, and then we'll think of something completely off the wall to paint on the Friday. Maybe some wood elves or something. If that's what we're doing, if that's what we're deciding we're taking to Warhammer World. Especially if we've definitely got the ticket by then, we'll know whether we're going or not. Yeah, that'll be fun. I am so looking forward to the new Dark Angels Codex. I haven't been as excited to read the lore section for so long, because even though I got every single Dark Angels Codex that they've ever printed, the problem is because their lore didn't really change, like because they hadn't moved the storyline on, there was never really much point in reading the lore section for me because I knew it all already. And even with 8th edition, like we had the sort of the dangling threads, like I said, with Luther and whatnot. But now that the Lion has returned, it's not just dangling threads anymore. There's so many, like, how is the chapter different? You know, how are they interacting with Lionel Johnson? What's going on? I really can't wait to find out. I'm so excited to get my hands on that codex and crack it open and find out all the things that have been happening to the Unforgiven. You know, like I said, the new miniatures are gorgeous. I can't wait for the full release. We've definitely got to get ourselves some of those Inner Circle companions. I'm determined to paint a unit of them for the army. Maybe I just find myself, quiet you. No. Full chaos. No. Especially not now the Lion's back. That is something he would not stand for. Ever. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint the last little squiggly bood. Yeah, no, they're definitely not going to do that. But yeah, so I definitely want to do the Inner Circle. But one of the other models, one of the conversions I really want to do is I really want to do Primaris Ezekiel. So I need to put some feelers out before they get released. Because there's obviously that cool Inner Circle one in the same pose as Ezekiel. I want to get him. Oh, excuse me. I want to get him as the base for the model. Then I need to find someone who still has a metal Ezekiel, the one that came with the banner. You know, the 3D metal banner, not just the banner pole that you could stick the paper banner onto. So I need to find someone that's got one of those, because I'm going to see how the sword scales with the new two-handed Calibanite greatswords, because I want to see if I were to replace the blades with the metal blade from Ezekiel, so he can have Traitor's Bane, his sword, his proper sword, whether that will work, and then I desperately want to give him the back banner, because as Azrael has one, and I've given one to my company's commander. I really, really want one like that. I really want him to have his old banner, just because it will really help sell who he is. So that's going to be the main conversion. Then obviously we're going to take one of the heads on the upgrade frame has the half mask, like the bottom half of the Primaris helmet, bit like Ezekiel and his rebreather. So we're going to take that, I think, and then we're going to try and convert. I'm going to have to try and cut up a tiny bionic eye to try and fit in there. But I think that's doable. You know, because I think even if he was Primarisized, I think he would still keep the bionic eye, just, you know, because it's part of his image. And then, yeah, there's also a Watcher in the Dark that comes with the upgrade frame, and it's got book, so he can be following Ezekiel around now. I think I'll put him on a 50mm base, just like Azrael is, so that him and the Watcher are on the same base together. So again, he stands out as a character. And then we'll just see if I can find some little key details, so we can give him a set of keys because he is the keeper of the keys of the rock. I think that'd be really cool. Probably won't be a unique conversion, but I want to get it out there and have a go with it. So if I can get all the parts together before the Inner Circle companions are released, then we can just do it straight away. We can do it on the channel. I can do it there. Because I think the other thing I might try and do is I might see if I can find somebody who's got a 3D print or an STL of the banners. You know, the Angel of the Stand of Devastation. If we got the half of the breath. Oh yes. Yeah, the one with Azrael and Vashtor. Is that his name? Vashtor? Yeah, I just want to get. I want a Brother Bethor model. I think if I can find a 3D print of, I'm sure somebody out there will have done the Standard of Devastation, Standard of Vengeance, whatnot. I'm sure they will have, and I can print one out and use it on to replace the banner, the weird like metal banner that the squad has. That'd be, like I said, that'd be a really fun conversion. And then I can have the whole of the chapter council then. I'll have the new Asmodai. Belial, I've already got Samael painted. Azrael's half done. He's on my painting desk at the moment. But obviously I have been distracted by many another thing. But yeah, we'll definitely get around to him. See, the problem is, as much as I want, like, because he's such a cool model, as much as I want him in the army, I feel like I don't want him and, like, all the characters. I don't want to have, like, the Lion and Azrael and, like, Ezekiel and... I feel like I want Sheol, my commander, my captain, that I've converted. I want him, definitely. See, I feel like I want to do that. I feel, again, every army's got to have a flag. So I think I've definitely got to do a normal ancient of some description. Got to figure out what I would do for the third company banner, so they've got that. And then I think a bunch of like regular like normal. I think we definitely have a unit of Hellblasters because they're really cool. I think they look, especially with the heavy ones. They have that Ghostbusters look, I think, with the proton packs. I love those guys. And now that they've only got one profile, I don't have to worry about it being the wrong gun that I'm taking. We want to have all three wings. So I've got my chaplain, my Terminator chaplain. He'll be with some Deathwing Knights, I think. So yeah, we'll have him with some Deathwing Knights. Ravenwing, that's the question. I've got nearly an entire Ravenwing army painted. The only things I hadn't done for that was the Black Knights. So I haven't got around to doing any Black Knights yet. I think I'm gonna leave them. I think I'm gonna wait until they get a chance to cross the Rubicon Primaris. So we'll leave those for now. So I think we can do some Outriders. We definitely have squads of Outriders. And then some form of Land Speeder support or Storm Speeder. So I've got, in my army already, I have a Storm Speeder, one of them, whatever, I think it's called, I don't know which one it is. It's the one with the missiles and melter weapon, I think. But I also have converted one of the Storm Speeders to be the Land Speeder Vengeance, because obviously the Dark Angels have their own one, so I thought it'd be really cool to have a Primaris version. So probably use that because it's another conversion. It looks cool. It'll help stand it out because this is an army that I really want to take to Warhammer World, to an event at Warhammer World, to hopefully, touch wood, get nominated to be in the candidate for Best Painted Army. And I think having a couple of cool conversions in there really helps with that sort of thing. So yeah, having that in. I don't know whether I should take one of the planes as well. I have both of the planes for Dark Angels, the Dark Talon and the Nephilim. I have both of them. The Dark Talon is obviously the coolest one with its warp cannon. I don't know whether I think we have to write the list with all the things I definitely want to take in and see what else we can fit in it. Because, like I said, we're gonna have to have some some. This is where I always get stuck, is with the I named things. We have to have some intercessors. Intercessors. It would be cool maybe to do like. See, the problem is I always get carried away, and then I try and write down what things are. Like in an army, try and write an army list out. I'm like 3,000 points over, because I think I want to do like. I'd love to do like an equivalent, modern equivalent of a demi company. So especially now we've got the new assault marines, I would love to have like a couple of squads of maybe a quarter company. So there's like five, so instead of having like 10 assault marines and 10 hellblasters and whatnot, we'll have 5 of each of those, and then have 3 units of 5 intercessors. That's like a quarter company of Dark Angels, rather than the standard demi company, which I used to have. It used to be the basis of most of my Dark Angel armies, which was 3 tactical squads, an assault squad, and a devastator squad. So maybe, probably how many points that is already. But that would be really fun. That would be what I'd like to do the most. I've also got the new scouts, and it would be nice to have a unit of them in there. Although I do prefer I prefer having a unit of snipers, because I have the eliminators. I want to say they're called eliminators. The sniper dudes, and I spent a long time doing their flipping camo cloaks, so that would definitely be something I think that would show off my painting as well, because I spent ages painting freaking triangles of different colours, interlocking multiple shaped, jagged shapes on those camo cloaks. So I feel like I should probably at least try and put them in. We've got to have the Ballistas Dreadnought as well, because again he looks like the old Mark 4, not Mark 4, sorry, Mark 5 metal one. Old metal one. Again, I'd love to try and track down. I need to try and see if I can find a banner from what are they called again? The Ironclad Dreadnoughts. So if anyone's got the sprues for an Ironclad Dreadnought that then they've built, and they've still got the sprues with the spare bits left over, please let me know, because I'd love to put the banner on him. So we can go for that proper old school Dark Angel feel. Have all the squads have banners, and all the characters have their own unique banners. I need to get one of the Stern. I think I've still got enough squad banner ones that I can use from the old Dark Angel veteran squad. I'd want to get one of the new Stern Guard ones, the new multiple part Stern Guard ones, because they have that really nice big one, which I'd use for my chaplain. I think he would have that for his heraldry. I think that would be a really striking army. It would be classic Dark Angels, but it would be Dark Angels with a bit of my own twist on it, and a bit of a historical twist on it. So I think maybe that would be enough to make people go, "Ooh, that's cool." But yeah, I have to figure out how much of that I can actually fit in an army, because I think it will fill up real quickly, and we'll end up having to make some cuts. But I definitely know I want to have all 3 wings in it, and it has to have the lion in it. It's just, what do we do after that? where do we go from there? I don't think we're going to have much space for lots of funky things, but as long as we can get a few, I think, yeah, we'll probably have, you only have room for the one Deathwing unit, so we'll probably have one unit of Deathwing Knights with a chaplain. We can definitely fit in a couple of Outriders, whether it's just 3 or we do go for the full 6. We'll see. And then I have to look in and see how many points things like the Assault Intercessors are, because again, I'd love to do a classic Demon Company, well, Quarter Company, like I said, because Primaris stuff's a bit expensive. Go for a Quarter Company, and then see if we can add any support troops in from there. Alright, so Big Gobby's nearly done. See, now I think the tongue is kind of growing on me. I think trust the process. It's not as perfect as I want, but I think it works. So we got there. So where are we on to? Now we're on to the Screaming Skull on the teeth, because we're going to highlight them almost the way up to white so they really stand out from the flesh and the gums. But we're going to try and leave some of the Ushabti bone on the previous. So we're going to just come down in little lines. These little piggy teeth. So yeah, that's I think that's the plan for our Dark Angels. The other army I'd love to finish this year is my Ulthway for 40k. I've got everything I want for them now, especially now that the new Striking Scorpions are out. We painted one of those the other day. It was fun. It was a bit tricky. We navigated through some stressful moments with that one as well, but we got there in the end. Yeah, they'll be I want to go do them again. I've got so far for there. I've got a lot of Guardians to paint. Let's put it that way for that army, because I spent a lot of time painting the cool stuff. So I've got a Warp Hunter already painting for that army, which you can see I think on our social media at Onyx Dragon Gaming on all your favourite social media platforms, which I haven't shouted out today. So there we go. It's a good reminder. Yeah, they're so I've got a Warp Hunter, which is a really cool tank. I've got a Wave Serpent, which is transporting some Wraithguard and the Spirit Seer that I showed off when I was doing my Striking Scorpion. Then we've got what else have I got in the army so far? Some D-cannon platforms, because I freaking love D-cannons. I don't care if they're they used to be rubbish for a long time, and then I think they got really super good, either in this edition or one of the previous ones, and I just don't care. I've always just tried to cram as many D-cannons into an army as possible, without spamming Wraithguard, obviously. But yeah, I love the support weapon D-cannons. They've always been really cool. So I've got a unit of them. Then we've got loads of Black Guardians. We've got 2 units of Defenders, Guardian Defenders, with their support platforms, and they've got. The cool thing is like I want to go for the old school Ulthway army. So all the units that I can have Warlocks in them, because you can. I think you can have a maximum of 3. So I've got three Guardians units with Warlocks in, a unit of Jet Bikes, which has a Warlock on Jet Bike, which is a different data sheet, so I can have another one, and then a unit with, then I think by Farseer, because I've got Eldrad, because again he's one of the coolest characters in 40k. He's in my army as well, and I think in the army list I wrote he sort of sits by the support platforms, and guide them. And of course I've got the Spirit Seer in the Wraith Guard because that makes sense for them. So I want to have every unit have a leader with a warlock, because that's what you used to be able to do. Especially in the Ulthway Strike squad, every unit used to be able to have them. So cool. Right. So while I'm gibbering about Ulthway, we've managed to finish the big mouth of the gigantic cave squig. Blarb. We'll go back to doing a tiny cave squig now. So we can get all 5 of these done. I think we're definitely going to. The thing we can do is build the handlers for Wednesday, along with the trolls, because they're just so funny. Like the guy with blowing the bagpipes just looks absolutely hilarious to me. Right, is that dried properly? I tried to paint this manacle earlier, and I put some Agrax Earthshade on it, and it hadn't dried quite properly. So it came out. It sort of wiped half the paint off, which was annoying. But we'll give it another try. I think we're okay this time. Try not to let a bubble form in this little, what's it called, loop there. We'll just make sure we cover this. We get a nice grimy, dirty metallic look. There we go. Ta-da! Right. So, he's done, except for the base. We will figure out, I've got to figure out what, let's have a quick look on the GW website and see what, I want to say he's a Loonboth. There he is, Loonboth on case. Of course, yellow, that's the kind of colour we can do. Yellows and purples and browns and things. Yellows and purples and browns, oh my. Right, that might be more fun we could do with the mushrooms. Hopefully these mushrooms are all dry now. So with these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin down some Agrax on the stems so we can keep most of the colour. There we go. Yeah, so the idea with this is I thin it down with water rather than medium, so it doesn't stain everywhere. It really does flow into the recesses. So we're going to cover all of these, and that will give us our proper sort of mushroomy colour, which if you've ever been to like a Dulux paint store, mushroom is a colour apparently. I just call it Rakar's flesh, but I don't think you can go into a Dulux centre and say, hi, can I have a pot of Rakar's flesh please? They should know GW paints, they really should. Don't know why I'm going off on this tangent, but I am. It's late, what can I say? So, I think that's that time again for a bit of a call to action. I wanted to say, for those people who joined us subsequently, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you who have joined our community so far. Please, if you haven't already, join us on the Discord if that's one of your things. Please join us on Discord. The link should be below this video somewhere. Like I said, it currently is a bit skeletonized, but like I said, we've got areas there where you can share what you're working on. People can chat about hobby and whatnot, and we can show off what we're doing in a nice central location. We've also got our socials below as well. We can go and see a lot more shiny pictures of things we're working on in other projects, because not just the stuff we do on screen, but there's also my own personal projects. There are projects we're doing for other people and other platforms, but they'll all be shown off in glorious high definition on there too, on our social medias. And yeah, like I say, we've now, thanks to your tremendous support, we've managed to hit Twitch affiliate link. Well, we will do as of the once this stream is completed, and Twitch recognises that it's all finished and completed, we should have hit all the metrics for it, and we should have Twitch affiliate, which, like I said, allows us to do some cool stuff with the stream. We'll get some fun graphics and things going on. We'll be able to do all sorts. We'll do Twitch giveaways for various things. We'll be able to do, for those people who wish to, we'll be able to subscribe to the channel. There'll be channel points as well for you to redeem on silly things like getting me back on topic painting, or being able to direct my personal rantings about things, stuff like that. That will all be coming soon when I figure out how it all works, because again, I've got to learn about all this as well. Well, thanks to all my technically minded friends who have been helping behind the scenes, helping me to figure all this stuff out and make it as professional as possible. Yes, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you. I know it's only been a short time, but I'm liking the fact we're building a small community here. People are getting used to the way I go, the things I do, and the way I paint and whatnot. We talk about the weirdest things, how Americans can't talk properly, how Hollywood doesn't understand what a dragon is, all these sort of things. So, Squigs, yes, yeah, thank you. Yeah, we finally got to them. They're so cold, they're so angry. Yeah, we got big squigs, little squigs, some as big as your head. Look at the teeth on that. They definitely brush their teeth. Although, to be fair, that sounds like it'd be a really dangerous job. Can you imagine being a goblin in charge of, like, squig dentistry? That is a job I would not want. Bouncy balls of chaos, teeth, and anger. Heck yeah, they are. Like, this isn't even the biggest squigs we've got in the army. This is like the medium-sized squig. Yeah, like I said, the problem was, so you missed this so far, like, they've been a lot quicker than we thought. I mean, kind of making this work a bit longer to get these all done, but I need my square bases. It's not going to be the same. I'm going to get home with these guys. I'm going to put them on my table, and I'm going to put them next to each other like this. It's not going to be the same. At least my gigantic squig, or my gigantic squig can be giant squig. Look, there we go. He lines up nicely. He's at a good angle. I shall build the war boss for him as well this week, so we've got at least give them shiny hats. They don't need hats. They don't need hats. The goblins have plenty of hats. Remember, we got an entire unit. Of guys trying desperately to ride them into battle like knights. Ding 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 ding. Which is just hilarious to me. Squigs. Like I said, this is the whole reason we're doing Night Goblins, is because they're so ludicrous. They're so stupid, but in such a great way. The chaotically evil that is goblins and Skaven. But I think personally, my personal preference lies with the squiggly nonsense that is the Night Goblins, as opposed to the other Skaven. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. I want to see squig herd. There it is. I want to see what colours they've done their mushrooms underneath their bouncy fellas. Ooh, okay. Let's that try. So what we're going to try now. You first. I'm going to try it on this little squiggly beast here. What we're going to try, I think, is we're going to try and tint some of these caps purple. So he's going to bring the wash down. So if he's going to form a bit of a puddle, it's going to form it at the bottom of this cap. There we go. I think that works. I think that works as a nice little mushroom colour for the cats. I think we'll put. Well, I'll tell you what, we might mix in a little bit of red on the ones that are away from the squig himself by using Caribou Crimson. But I'm thinking this might be the way we do a lot of the mushrooms, because I think that works. That gives it I think that does give it like a fungal texture, doesn't it? The softness. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that works for me. I think. Ooh, just filling this side. It's like colouring in. I mean, back at school. Yeah, we'll do that, and then these little ones here. We'll introduce year 2 to the magic of owlbears. The owlbears. Everyone should be introduced to the majesty of owlbears. They're the greatest creature, not monstrosity, not monstrosity. This is the hill I'm going to die on. They're not monstrosities. They're beautiful, nature's beautiful mistake. Yeah, I love. For those of you who weren't aware, I love me some owlbear. They are I think possibly my favourite fantasy creature now. They were the first thing I tried to play. Like, I remember when I got into World of Warcraft, they were the first thing I wanted. They were not a mistake. They were carefully created, yeah, because somebody was like, you know what's better than owls? And what's better than bears? Put those hands together. Although this is probably like the same... this is the same wizard responsible for the platypus, I'm telling you. Like, there's a wizard that was responsible for the platypus who was like, I like ducks, I like beavers, put those hands together and create ourselves a platypus. You will not convince me otherwise. That is not how that went down. I need to invent and paint an owlbear army. Yeah. Do you know what? One thing I will do is I think one of the things I'm going to try and track down, because people do obviously, people make some lovely STLs these days. And I would love to track down and see if we can find a 3D print for a moonkin, which are the owlbears of the Warcraft world, because what makes them even better is that they have the awesomeness of owlbears mixed with either elk or deer, because they have horns, and the ability to cast ridiculous amounts of magic. The Boomkin, as they were known when I first started playing the game. Somebody explained to me that people called them Boomkin, and I was sold. They were like, ever since I saw them, I was like, I want to be a Boomkin. I've tried playing Boomkin a few times on Warcraft, but I've never actually succeeded, I don't think. Like, I couldn't really get into the rhythm. Not because, no, Moomins are okay, right, that's it, you set me off, that's the one, no, Moomins are creepy as fuck. I know it's late, I don't usually swear, but no, Moomins, no. Yes, hashtag tangent, this is full on, this is not just a tangent, this is an infomercial. This is about the dangers of those creepy white bastards from Finland. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but the whole Moomin like books and the things, they creep me out as a kid. They really do. They're just, I mean, the Finns, right? Finns are mental to begin with. But they came up with those strange white, like rhino, hippo looking. No, Moomins are creepy. Moomins are creepy. Like, Finland has given the world so much. Like, it's given us awesome heavy metal. Oh, let's have a quick look. Oh. Yep, that's definitely true. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for distracting me from the creepiness of Moomins with that hilarious looking new emote. Yeah, because Moomins are evil. You will not convince me otherwise. Some people are like, oh, they're so cute and they're so beautiful. No. Moomins are the spawn of the devil. They have come to steal your children and destroy us all. And you will not convince me otherwise. They are! Their eyes are dead. They hang around with creepy forest folk as well. Oh, I don't know what it was about reading those books as a kid. Like, I think my grandparents had them. And I think I tried to read them because I was bored, and I just creeped me the F out when I was trying to sleep. And I just like, nope, 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 nope. Do not want. Please keep. You're strange. There's no life behind them. No, it's because they've seen some things, man. It's because they've killed before. That's what it is. Moomin have definitely killed before, and they will again if we let them. Don't be fooled by their white cuddliness. No, that's not true. They just, no, they're evil creatures. They know nothing but hatred in their hearts. Yeah. Moomins are evil beings. Just, yeah, no, that's... no. How they don't even compare them to the majesty of the owlbear, the majesty of the moonkin, those beautiful horned owlish crazy things, and you try and compare them. No, no, no! I say. I refute thee, Moomin. Thrice I curse thee and banish thee. Oh, Moomins. Yeah. It's the same, like, for me, right, they're in the same band as the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal. If anyone else here was traumatised by the Dark Crystal as a child, you know what I mean, right? Those Skeksis things, those weird, like, half-dead vulture creatures. Ugh. They were just wrong. They were so wrong. Right, I think we're going to need another coat of Rakar's flesh on these. But yeah, that's definitely today's full-on tangent. Is that you should never trust a Moomin. Never. They're creepy. They stare at you with those dull, those dead eyes. Squigs win, obviously. I mean, the thing is, I think the thing about like Moomins is they need to be able to, like, you need to let them in and let your guard down, right? Squigs would tear through a Moomin like it was made of light paper, or, you know, white fluffy bacon. I don't know. Yeah, Squigs definitely would definitely kick the teeth in on Moomins, unless the Moomins could somehow sneak up on them. In which case, then the Moomins would just clearly just murder them in their beds, because that's what Moomins do. And you'll never convince me otherwise. But yeah, Squigs are the best. See, look, the thing is, right, 1,000 Moomins versus one Squig. I don't know, it depends what size Squig we're talking about, right? If it's like one of the little ones, I think go for a fair few Moomins before they drag it down and club it to death. But if it's one of the bigger Squigs, if it's like a Mangler Squig, I think we'd definitely be, my money would definitely be on that. He's clearly in charge. That's the thing, he's the boss Moomin, exactly. He's got a top hat, which, as we all know, is associated with wizards and magic, magicians, right? So he is a creepy-ass Moomin who knows magic. That's even worse. No. Magic Moomin, like, because let's be honest, right? Those sort of old-timey magicians are also creepy as hell. So you're combining an old-timey wizard, an old-timey magician with a Moomin. It's just double the creep factor. No Moomins. Of any description. I can't cope with it. No. Oh, thank you. This is serious. Moomins are serious business. I remember seeing one of those adverts for like cafes in Japan. And this is one like cafe where if you're alone and don't have a partner, you know, for the table, they put these massive plushies down, you know, for you to have dinner with. And I thought, oh, that's really cute, until they put a freaking Moomin down. I swear to God, if I was sat in a restaurant like trying to eat something and then someone just plonked a Moomin down in front of me, I would just leave. I would just be like, no thank you, I'm gone, no thank you. So am I saying, no, I'm gone. Anytime they lick your toes while you're like, ugh. Yes, this is all part of the lore. See, it's all coming out now. This is it. People are starting to realise. They're putting two and two together. It's not the monsters under your bed, it's the Moomins. Moomins under your bed that you got to worry about. No. Never trust a Moomin. With their dead eyes. Like a doll's eyes. And they roll back into their head just before they bite you. It's true. This is all 100% fact. The other thing is, like, they hang out in flipping two small squids with the spines on the back. Are they bone coloured or skin coloured when done? Well, these little fellas with the spines on. And I haven't actually decided on these. I think this guy might have. He might have to paint the air. I was trying to decide whether they were like vestigial things, but actually, the more I look at them, now you point it out to me, I think I might have to paint them as bone. Because at first I couldn't see whether they had like, whether they were protruding through the skin or whether they were like under the skin, subcutaneous. Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. Now I don't. Yeah. So I will go back in, I think, and paint them bone because I think it will just add a bit more. It adds a bit more detail and colour to them, doesn't it? But yeah, now I look at them. Now I'm looking at them close. I can see the little sort of what's the word? Like where the skin folds around them. Because at first I thought they were like subcutaneous, like horns or little things. So we will pick them out. And we'll put them on. Because, yeah. He's a spiny little fella. See, one of my favourite Squigs is, and it's also from a classic comic. Squig King's gonna make the magenta. No. Not these ones anyway. These are going to be nice classic red Squigs. I liked them like this. I've seen somebody do like a really cool Squig herd that was painted where all the Squigs were painted like different colours like tropical fish and things. And maybe once I've painted the rest of this on, maybe that'd be something to go back to. Just buy some Squigs just to paint random different Squigs. But yeah, I think I was saying, yeah, one of my favourite Squigs that was in the lore was from the what are they called? Death Squadron, the Orc fighter bomber squadron, and the awesome comic Catch the Squidgin. The colour of the horns when you put shiny eyes. Right, so I'm going to have to clearly for you. I'm going to have to buy you a Squig and put a hat on them. Put shiny hats on them. There's Squigs with these. I was really sad that I missed the Christmas Squig they did, the plush Squig with the Christmas hat on. I was sad that I missed that when it came out. Because who wouldn't want a plush Squig? Also, the best. So back, there was a period where GW used to do like, will Hat Squig take on the Hat Moomin? Yes. For added magical power, yeah, that's what we want. A magically infused Squig. I can imagine after like Azag the Slaughterer, when he was killed, like I can imagine because the crown he wore the crown of command, which was actually infused with part of Nagash's soul. I would love it if there was a story like where he got killed and the head came out like he gets killed, right, and the body falls down, and the crown of command just bounces off and just lands on a Squig, and there's just this Squig, like all of a sudden, it's just got the voice of Nagash in its head. Like, make that canon. Like that needs to happen. Like there's a Squig running around like with necromantic powers, like Yargle from Magic the Gathering. Because that's the thing, right? I think that's probably why I love Yargle so much in Magic, is because Yargle, for those who don't know, is a demon frog spirit. And I think the reason why I love him so much is it's because he's basically just a Squig. He's a demon frog Squig beast. Necromancer Squig. Oh, just swearing in my chat. I don't know. It's alright, we're after the watershed. I'll allow it. Necromancer Squig. Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious if they just like, it would be like, you know, like if the One Ring like ended up on a cat or something. But yeah, I love the idea of just like this Squig's got the crown of command sort of jammed on its head. It's being whispered to by the greatest necromancer of all time, like, and trying to be convinced to create like an undead army. That would be hilarious. That would be such a great little story, which I would love to see so much. Right, so we've done the back spines. That'll make me laugh. Necromancer Squigs. I do remember, like, Squig people have raised the dead. Yeah. That's what it does. Like, that's what Nagash can influence it too. It just keeps putting necromantic energy into Squig, so it keeps trying to raise things, and then the Squig just eats them. So I can imagine that, like, the necromantic energy is going out, and, like, you know, it's eating things on the battlefield, and it's starting to raise some of them as zombies, and the Squig just eats them, and then obviously that just concentrates all the magic, and it just starts pooping out all the Squig poo. That, like I said, seeps into the soil and starts raising anything that's died in it. See, this story, we're making our own canon. I think, but the thing is, I feel like it definitely fits the feel of Warhammer. Yeah. The Squig that raised the dead. It's a great story. That I feel like it should be a box out in an Old World article somewhere. It definitely feels like one of those random things that they put in, like, army books and stuff. Oh, this one's quite. This little fella's teeth are quite a bit of a pain because he's got his jaw closed over his eyes. How can he see where he's going? What if? Oh god, that would be a series, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be hilarious. Yeah, first episode. What if the Crown of Command came to a Squig? That would definitely be the best comedy episode of the series. There's got to be a few like Skaven ones in there, right? Skaven make good subjects. What if orcs were actually Squig hair instead of the other way around? Just a great bush of hair with an orc sticking out of the top. Hair Squigs, they're the future. Can you imagine that? Like, are you dealing with hair loss? You know, all these things are before to give you hair back. They're all just lies and trickery. Try new Hair Squig. Hair Squig, guaranteed to give you a full mane of hair if you keep them fed. Any style. Right. So the mushrooms on this fella's base, and one of the last few things we were doing tonight. Yeah, I think we maybe have started something here. A list of Warhammer what ifs. I mean, like, there's the one time when, like, the Skaven tried to steal a steam tank. I would love to have seen what had happened if they actually managed to get hold of a steam tank. That would have been quite hilarious. Obviously, there's a lot of serious ones as well. Like, what if Teclis drew the Sword of Cain? That could have been quite interesting. Oh dear. See, my problem is I've got myself thinking, and I'm in my head now trying to think of all these scenarios. Yeah, I think these mushrooms are going to be a bit more, a bit different from painting the other ones. We might even leave them. I think maybe with these, I'm going to find one of these days. I'm going to find a way to make sure that I'm in the flipping exact shot. where I need to be. What was I saying? Yeah, I think for the mushrooms on this fella, we need. I think we're just going to keep these brown, but in different. So we'll just use different shades of agrax to darken the crowns over the stems, or whatever it is you call the underside of a mushroom. I am not particularly botanically minded. I'm the only member of my family that doesn't really care about plants. My idea of gardening is to hacking anything green down and setting it on fire. Hugh would know, yeah. Where's Hugh? We were like, tree surgeon. He knows about things that grow and such. I have no idea. It's a mushroom thing. That's what it is. It's probably got some funky Latin name or something. I don't know. Like I said, it's not my department. My area of expertise is, well, goblins and physics and engineering. That's what I'm trained in. That and randomly things like firefighting at sea. That was a fun weekend in Glasgow in the middle of November. Learning how to fight fires on a boat. Full breathing gear. Getting absolutely soaked with water in the middle of November and just trying not to freeze while you waited for the next group to go through. But it was entertaining. Although at the time I didn't have contact lenses, so I had to take my glasses off to put the breathing mask on, so I couldn't see a sodding thing. I'm just like, fire over there vaguely. Cover it with water. So yeah, we've nearly finished all 5 of these squigs and their bigger brother. Or bigger cousin, I don't know. Brother, cousin, any other flubber. So yeah. So like I say, Wednesday there could be all sorts of things on Wednesday. We're definitely bringing trolls. We know that. We've got trolls for Wednesday. Might try and put together some of the squig herders, so you can see the ludicrous nature of them. And we'll do maybe even bring in the big boss, our war boss, to go on our colossal or giant squig, whatever grade of squig he is. Because that'd be fun. We're going to do all sorts of different things, I think. It's very fun. And like I say, Friday will be Star Wars, maybe some battle droids, could be Luke Skywalker, could be Yoda, who knows. And then next Monday is our big guest stream with Ben Greaves of Heresy Junkie fame. We will be discussing all things Dark Angel with the release of the shiny new Dark Angels Codex on Saturday. We will be unboxing the Deathwing Assault box that is the new release, or advanced release I should say, of the Dark Angels Codex. We should be poring over the shiny new models and all different parts on the new upgrade frames, etc. And then we should be looking at the wonderful new lore that is contained within the hallowed pages of the Codex. I'm really looking forward to it. I have been waiting to find out what's happening with my beloved Primarch and his loyal legion. Yes, that's right, loyal legion. I know what you're all thinking out there. So yeah, And then who knows? We might even be a random update. Who knows? Here's hoping. Yeah, I see you there. You know who I'm naming this at. I know you and your chaos jokes. But yeah, I say one. Who knows? We might even. Fingers crossed, Al. Come on, will it with me, dude. Will it with me. We'll get another. I'll get a phone call from the lovely folks at Lazy Dragon Gaming to say, your Warhammer Old World order is in, and I will be much rejoicing. For not only will I have new Old World models to paint in some time, but also I'll have bases. Bases, I say. So we can actually base all of our wonderful squiggly beasts and our lovely goblin friends. We can get them all finally on the glorious square bases. Also, I need to try and find myself a basing, a thingy base. Come on, brain. Regiment base, that's the one. Need to make some regiment bases. I have been tempted to try and, if I can get hold of the GW kit, or I can find, so again, if I had design software, what I'd probably do is make corners and edges on my 3D printer, because I've been thinking what would be the coolest way to make regiment bases is to use the magnetic sheeting you can buy, is to cut that up as the base for our regiment bases, so we can put some small magnets underneath the bases of all of our goblins and squigs and things, and then use them, and then if we use the magnetic sheet, because it's quite stiff, and if it's been edged with the plastic thing, it'll keep it nice and straight, and we've got magnetic movement trays then. That's been my cunning thought. But I need to find some of the old, either the old movement tray edging, or I need to find some clever fellow who has made an STL of said movement tray edges. And yeah, then I can have magnetic movement trays for everything, which will make transporting the army a lot easier. I'm just going to finish off these teeth. Then I realise I didn't actually highlight the gums, so we'll go back in and do that. And then we can do the eyes and these little claws. The eyes are going to be hilarious because they're right behind the flipping teeth. And we'll put the final highlights on these little spines. Yeah. There we go. That's nearly done. Ta-da! Yes. Yeah, I'm really excited to get the YouTube channel up and running. Well, it is up and running. You can watch all of our VODs over there. And if you are on YouTube already, hello. Thank you for watching our videos. If you've made it this far through the video, I'm very impressed with your dedication to have this on in the background listening to it, or to sit and watch it. Thank you very much. If you like this content, please like, share and subscribe, and all the other call to arms nonsense that I must remember to keep plugging, but not too much. So I've got to find that lovely streamer balance. So we can get these little eyes. God, this is going to be so tentative. Right, we got one eye. This one, I've got to sneak around this flipping tooth. Hey, success! Woohoo! So we managed to get the eyes without drawing yellow streaks across the teeth there. So we can just highlight these gums. Well, we've made a little bit of a boo-boo. Hey, boo. Yeah, that's a mighty fine picnic basket. Don't know where that came from. There we are. I like this upper gum here. Squiggly beasties. So I'd really love to get hold of the. I hope that one of the things they do release is the old Skull Pass set, Battle for Skull Pass, because I would love to get the Goblin boss from that with your little squig hound that he's holding back. And he's holding it back sort of almost by the top of the eyelid as well. So he's like, argh! I love that model. It was so simple but so awesome. I remember picking that set up for the first time when I was at university. I just dashed down to Micro Markets in Lancaster because they had it on sale slightly early, and we were so excited we went and just splashed out right there because I spent my student loan money on a vast quantity of toy soldiers and not important things like rent or textbooks because I was stupid. Remember, kids, stay in school. Don't be a fool. Stay in school. Right, so we just got his little, what's the word, talons to do. He hasn't got any little back spines or anything. But we're going to get in there with these. Doo-doo-doo. Yeah, I think if we'd actually if we'd not brought the colossal squig or the giant, I keep calling him a colossal squig. If we hadn't brought the giant squig, I reckon we could have painted the entirety of a full unit of these guys tonight. But that bodes well because it means we should be able to make good progress on our unit. Right, so I think what we're going to do with these mushrooms and come back in again with some more Agrax, thin down Agrax on the caps. Tell you what was nearly as creepy as Moomins. Nearly as creepy as Moomins. Anyone remember the Gnomes cartoon series? They weren't quite as creepy, but I remember the bad guys being creepy in that. I can't remember what they were, but I just remember them being like quite nasty. But here we are. Yeah, just like, for some reason tonight's stream has been brought to you by my childhood traumas. Things that traumatised me as a child. There we are. You know, actually, the fact that it's mixing in a little bit with the underlayer actually kind of works. Giving us a nice sort of off mushroom colour. There we go, I like that. I think that works. Yes, it was. That was effed up. Although I did love Dylan, the massively stoned rabbit, as a kid. Like, he was my favourite. I love the fact that, like, it was a show that some random British dude had seen on French TV, bought the rights to, and then just, without any knowledge of what the show was about, just completely redubbed it. Like, this is the guy that would be, like, doing, you know, sort of a bridge series or whatever on YouTube these days. Because he just completely, just no idea what the show was about. And he was like, right, I'm just remaking all of these characters. I'm just going to follow vaguely what's happening with the story, and come up with my own ideas. And I love that about the Magic Roundabout. It's mental, absolutely mental. I love how there's like all those theories about like all the different creatures, all the different characters represent different drugs as well. So like Dylan represents weed because he's always like stoned. What's the dog? Dougal the dog, because he was mental. He's like meth. Ermintrude's all about love. Zebedee. He was so Zebedee the spring demon. Yes. I think he was like cocaine or something. I don't know. Like, there's all these theories about the show. I think that's digging too deep into it. I just think it was a crazy man who was like, I'm going to steal this French show and redub it. But the French come up with some weird stuff. Zebedee. Yeah, Ermintrude the cow. I remember, yeah, I think that's it. I think those are the only characters I can remember. Zebedee, Ermintrude, Dylan, and Dougal. I think it's Dougal, the long-haired dog thing. I think there are more characters. No idea what they are. But yeah, they were. That show was absolutely mental. When they say they don't make things, I mean, to be fair, so was like things like Mr. Ben. I don't know if anyone of you remember Mr. Ben, which was a show about a man who would go into his local. He'd go into a local like costume shop, go in the back with a costume, hallucinate vividly. He'd put the costume on, hallucinate like thing. I'm here now. You can say, oh, thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'm just starting now. We're ranting about Mr. Ben right now, about how a guy used to go into a costume shop, borrow a costume, go into the back room, hallucinate vividly, steal something, and then leave. Never bought a costume, ever. That poor shopkeeper was like, oh, here he is again. I don't really want to call the cops, but, you know, he's just in the back taking, like, magic mushrooms or LSD or something, pretending he's an astronaut. Yeah. I've been talking about our stream next week, Ben. About the Dark Angels and how I am so excited for that. Squigs! Yes! See? Everyone's excited when they see Squigs. We've been doing a giant cave squig and some little diddly squigs. They're so cool. I love them. I love them so much. They're so horrible. But yeah, we've been doing all sorts of things. Custodes Aquilon Terminators. Ooh. So, painting gold, then. Lots of gold. How many have you managed to put together? Like 3? I think you've got at the moment. Is it 3 you've got at the moment? 3 of the 10-man unit. I can't wait to hear how that goes. The only colour they should be gold, yep. None of this painting dirt, like, right, okay, that's it. He set me off. So, Custodes, when they brought them in 40k and they gave us all these stupid alternate colour schemes, yes, hashtag tangent time. Those stupid colour schemes with like the black armoured ones or the white armoured ones. No! Custodes come in one colour. That colour is gold. And the reason that colour is gold is because it's what the flipping armour's made from. They don't care about painting it or changing the colours. That's it. The only thing I'll give you, maybe, is the inside, like, accent colour. So, like, the red or black is the other one that's usually done, like, inside on the interior bits of their shoulder pads. That's what you're allowed to do to variant colour on Custodes. But they should be flipping gold. None of this black, none of this Shadow Keeper's bollocks. Custodes are gold. They don't paint their armour, they don't do anything to it. Because they don't care. Custodes are like, it's an armour suit, it does a thing. That's it. They don't. The fact that it happens to be gold is just a coincidence. It is not like they didn't go, you know what? I want to be as sparkly as possible. See how I glitter. Like the guy from Pocahontas. No, that's not them. They're like, if Auramite was poo brown, right? Custodes would be poo brown, but it's not. It's gold. So that's what colour they are. Yeah, that's it. Ben comes in here, sets me off. I don't know, but I feel strongly about these things. I have strong opinions. That I'm not. I want people to know that it's not that I don't have any agreement with anyone doing painting things however they like. At the end of the day, it's your hobby, and you do what you want. And I understand why Games Workshop bring in these variant colour schemes. It's just I'm a real nerd. I'm what people would probably consider to be a rivet counter. If things haven't got the right markings according to the codex, then we're going to have arguments. Like with me, you know, like I always want to make sure that my things are marked up and painted exactly the way that they described. Ugh. Yeah, but I don't like it when they do that either. Yes, retconning. It's like when we had that stupid Space Marine release, when they brought out the stupid Centurions and the flipping Storm Potato, and they were like, oh yeah, they were just, oh you didn't see, like, they put them back in like a lot of the old massive battles. Oh dear, is it bad? Oh, I was gonna buy the audiobook. Why do they have black ones in there? Is that why I'm not gonna like it, or am I just not gonna like it because? Oh yeah, well I was waiting for that. To be honest, I have been waiting because I knew they were going to do something. I knew there was going to be at least one or two things where they were going to be like, psych, that's not how it went down. Everyone thinks that this is how it went down and how we've had it in our lore for 30 years, but actually, we got you. It's not the Emperor on the Golden Throne at all. It's just some sort of, it's a midget in a trench coat. Yeah. But I've got to read it. It's like watching Star Wars Episode 8. I felt like I had to watch it at least once when it came out. You know? But so I know to avoid it. I just pretend that it didn't happen. Yeah. I think for me, the Heresy series definitely got towards the end, especially where they started off introducing a bunch of really cool twists. Like things like that Alpharius and Omegon were twins, that there were 2 Primarchs for that legion. Little things like that were really cool, right? They added into the story. They didn't subtract from it. But then I felt like as they went on and on and on, they started throwing in stuff for the whole purpose of it just being surprise. It didn't go down the way you think it went down. And now technically it is, because obviously this is like the major version of how, it's all. This is now the official sort of history. Although Games Workshop does have its lovely get out of jail free clause of going, but this is how it's recorded by these people, rather than just the this is the official sort of, this is the canon kind of thing. So yeah, I will have to psych myself up to start listening to it. I put it off by using my Audible credit this month on something else, but yeah, I will do. What do I know? What there we are, Hugh. Oh, thank you, sir. What do you call the underside of of a mushroom, like the bit that's under the cap? What's that called? That's what we were asking. We need somebody who knew about green. Well, I say green things, but living plant, like, well, no, they're not plants either. You need someone who knows about fungus. and Baskin figured that you would know. Mycelium. Thank you very much. Gills or spore surface, depends on the type. See, well, we've got all different. But yes, thank you, both of you, both Michelle the Unicorn. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, mycelium or gills or spore surface, depends on the type. There we go. Well, in that case, the type that's underneath these strange Warhammer mushrooms. But now we know. That's what we're going with. Mad cat mushrooms. Well, they might be mad cat mushrooms. They could be just regular mushrooms used for making fungus beer. See, that's something that that Bugman's Bar haven't. We need fungus beer at Warhammer World, I think. We have Bugman 6X and we have Troll Brew, I think. I want fungus beer. Could be vegan. All the strands of fungus that grow through the soil subject for. I see. For instance, you had to get it in there, didn't you, Hugh? I hate you. See, for those who don't know, Baskin and Subwork Hugh, they have this long ongoing argument about mulch and the use of mulch to help trees grow. Yeah. You ask the man who knows about growing things. You do what he says. You put mulch on stuff. I don't know. Like I say, my approach, we are the cool kids. Yep. you crazy botany lovers. Yeah. I said my idea of gardening is to find the green thing, rip it out and set it on fire. It just needs to be watered. That was it. Yeah, it needs to be watered with mulch. I'm just going to keep stirring. I've been traumatised by Moomins tonight, so I'm spreading the pain and the love around. Because Moomins are the creepiest thing ever. Next to Skeksis. Possibly even including Skeksis. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, we've had another wonderful stream tonight. We've finally got around to painting Squigs. I'm so happy. I love how everyone who just keeps joining the stream is like, oh, Squigs! Because that's the thing, right? Squigs inspire joy. Do they not? Look at that lovely, happy little face. You know? They're so cool. They're so much fun. I love the little blighters. I can't wait to see them all. Again, I want to see them all ranked up. Because that's the best thing. Yeah, and we'll get our Goblin War Boss. Get our Goblin War Boss on top of this, on top of his giant squig. Whoa! So close. Ooh. Actually, I think we've done a good job with the mushrooms as well. Just a little tints with the a Boomdak and Snazwagon. Well, that might have to be a special. Mulch resistant needs watering. There we are. More important information. A Boomdak and Snazwagon. Ever since that Christmas advert that GW did with James Workshop, I have wanted to paint a Boomdak and Snazwagon. And I feel like at some point in the stream, maybe towards Christmas, maybe that's the thing. We could paint a Christmas Boomdak and Snazwagon in red. Because as we all know, the red ones go faster. This is an established fact. Yeah, I think we've done good tonight. We've got a bunch of one rank of Squigs because I've got a unit of 20 of these planned. So these are even like even these. What do the green ones do? Well, the green ones are the people that drive them. Orcs don't paint things green; they paint red ones. They paint everything red because red ones go faster. That's how that works. Yeah, so these are actually the most basic of the squigs you get. What red I used? This is Sanguine Red, the spray from Colourforge, because it's so much better than the Mephiston Red Citadel spray. Then I washed it with Caribou Crimson, dry brushed it back up with Mephiston Red, Evil Sun Scarlet, Squig Orange on the bellies a little bit, and more around the face, and then a final very light dry brush of Cadian Flesh Tone just around the mouths to pick out some of the detail. And that's it. That was our skin tone. I think I might do a glaze on top of these at some point because I think they look so much cooler on the screen than they do for me. Like personally, they look a nice, much deeper. Thank you very much. I'm really proud of them. I think they look ace. But I think we want to deepen the red, and I think to deepen the red, we're either going to varnish them or put a glaze on top of them just to deepen that red a bit. But yeah, I am very pleased with them. We got a little bit. The tongue on this big fella was a bit of a job. It didn't come out quite how I wanted, but after I painted the rest of the model, I think it looks okay. Like I said, some of these squigs, the ones that are left on the sprue. One of them actually has a goblin inside the mouth. I don't know whether he's riding it from inside, or whether the squig is trying to eat him. But it looks freaking cool. So yeah, we're painting some more of those soon, as well as the squig riders. I will transition away from the squigs for a minute. Yes, so we're going to be painting some squig riders at some point soon. More of our basic dudes as well. We've got a bunch of archers with their tiny little bows to paint, and of course we've got loads of cool characters to do. There'll be some careful conversion work. I might call upon the mighty Benjamin Greaves, the man, the myth, the legend of what's the word I'm looking for? of conversions to help me remove them gently from the base. Kit Bash, thank you. I can't, words just poof out the head. Yes, the man, he's an absolute legend when it comes to kit bashing, and he's removed several of these molded bases from a few models. So I think I might ask for his glorious knowledge to help me to remove these characters from them and put them on square bases where they belong. Because that Loon Court's got some really cool models in it. There's a guy with like a blowpipe that's a mushroom with loads of blowpipe holes in it. I think there's a guy with like a catapult, like a tiny squig catapult. There's a guy on a squig, like he's got like a mallet on the end of a stick rather than a normal lance. And then there's the guy I want to use as as our shaman, the mean guy, Ginrak or whatever his name, Grinrak. Yeah, so we've got loads of cool models to come, just for this army alone, as well as all the other fun things we've got. But as for tonight, I just want to say thank you very much for joining us on the stream that has gotten us all the way to affiliate. I'm very excited to wake up probably tomorrow morning to find out what that entails and all the things I've got to do and all the hoops I've got to jump through. But for now, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all again on Wednesday. So with that, good night.